Yo, 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 what's going on? Welcome to the Living for a Living podcast. I'm your host, Joey Bradley. Today's guest I'm very excited to have in here, as he's been one of the most influential people in my life up to this point. He's known as one of the top trainers in the world and is living proof that age is just a number. On top of all that, he is the creator and co-founder of The Rebar. Ladies and gentlemen, Tim Manson.
The world feels uncomfortable, but now making something from nothing is how I confront.
Listen to myself recorded a couple of times. I'm good at karaoke though.
Are you?
Yeah, I'm pretty decent.
What's your song?
What I Wouldn't Do for Love by Bobby Caldwell.
Oh.
What I won't do for love.
Ooh, I can see it. I can see it.
But I have to have at least a couple beers. And I got to clear my voice cords a little bit.
Yeah.
And just like be in the mood.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's just with this, I just wanted to get it flowing with you. You know, you've been such a influential person in my life, and
Appreciate it, man.
I'm always
You too.
trying to explain to people, you know, we kind of have the running joke in the friends or in the workout group, like you don't know unless you know.
No.
You know, the work we put in and, you know, being around you. And so like, it's always fun to me to like try to explain it.
Yeah.
And then, you know, I did tried to do some research on you before, a little bit. That's been a fun part about this thing is looking up the other stuff. Yeah. And there's not a lot. You're kind of like,
I'm
you're
underground,
really
man.
well known, but under the radar at the same time.
No, there's certain hip hop artists that I really listen to, and that's like, you know, Zion I, The Grouch, and most people don't know who the hell these folks are.
Right, yeah.
But I know who they are.
Yeah.
And
I know that's how we bonded in the very, very beginning was Zion I and the Grouch.
And some of the things they say is kind of like in the wavelength of how I kind of look at the world. I'm a social introvert.
Right. Okay.
So I'm extremely sociable. I love people, but I'm very introverted. I like my space. I like my time to be quiet, and I like to meditate. I like to think about what's going on around me and not get kind of caught up in a, you know, roller coaster. Yeah. If I'm in a bus driving, I'm the kind of guy that tells the bus driver to stop. Can you let me out for a second? Let me go out there and smell this grass. Let me feel this ocean breeze, that kind of deal. So I don't like to be the guy that's in the bus that's just driving around, sightseeing.
Right.
I don't like sightseeing. I like to actually go out there and mingle with folks and smell the food, eat the food, you know, get out there. And so I'm an introvert, but I'm also very sociable. Yeah. Social. So some people, and I really don't like attention.
I know.
You know, honestly don't like attention.
I know.
And that's something that I have to kind of change, I guess. That's what I'm hearing, but from other folks out there. But, you know, I've always liked the fact of being incognito in a way, not in a way that I'm trying to hide anything. Mm-hmm. I ain't got nothing to hide. It's just, some people like they're not necessarily like, I don't have anything private. You know, some people have that, like that, you know, it's like they have that privacy. Yeah. It's not about privacy or nothing like that. It's just, I don't like to get caught up so much in everything that's going on that I just kind of lose track of where I'm at as far as what's around me.
For sure.
If that makes any sense. You know, it's important for me to be able to have my own thoughts, you know what I'm saying, and not be caught up in the monkey brain. Yeah. Where your brain is kind of firing in all cylinders, and I just want to be able to clear my head and just be creative, and allow good things to come in. You know, I listen to radio, I watch TV, and all the stuff that goes on with polarization and all this political crap that goes on. I feel all that, so I'm kind of a conduit, a sponge for a lot of that stuff. So I kind of soak it up, and that's not a good thing. And so if I do soak it up, but it's good for me to purge it.
For sure.
You know?
Well, yeah, I mean, every now and then we get to a workout or
we
after
get a workout,
workout.
And everybody, that's when they come in the workout, everybody's purging, basically. We got people in all different types of situations, you know, folks, but the primary commonality between us all is that we all have goals. Yep. We all have certain things that we're trying to achieve, and some of us are aware of each other's goals, which is kind of cool. You know, you got one guy trying to, you know, get back in the NBA, one guy that's in the NBA, you know, a person like me who's a trainer that's trying to, you know, put a product on the market and go out there and be able to express myself in a way that helps other people. You know, everyone's got a story, and we all kind of know each other's stories, and we kind of push each other and enlighten each other and purge help each other purge all the negativity that's around us, and come out of it anew.
Yeah.
You know, and then we can go out there and you know, we only let what's in that needs to come in.
Right.
That we feel that needs to come in. Everything else is just any garbage. We just kind of leave it out to the side, and that helps us in our daily interaction between people and everyone around us. So I know the people in my group, you know, we tend to be able to communicate and connect with folks in a higher level, higher vibration.
For sure.
As opposed to just kind of like making judgment calls on everyone we see out there, and or being overly anxious or trying to live by the standards of everyone else the way we want to be. You know, that's not important. It's important that we're out there representing ourselves in a high level, but it's not important for us to be worried about what other people think constantly. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know?
No, and I'm kind of, you know, I feel that because on one end of the spectrum, like I really don't care what people think about me, but then with doing some of the vlog and content and now the podcast, I'm, you know, you put something out there, you naturally you want it to be received well.
Oh yeah.
You know, and so that's a big reason you hit it on the head of like we all have a story to tell.
Yeah.
And I think a big thing for me doing this and a big reason I was so excited to have you was like, you know, just completely well by this is that a conversation can change how you perceive a person, a group of people, a country, whatever. And I've found in my adventures so far that just like, you know, the biggest reason for ignorance is like a lack of understanding.
Oh yeah.
And, you know, and just so I've felt so fortunate to, you know, meet people from every walk of life, rich, poor, black, white, Asian, you know, everything, doing well, hurting, after just a conversation, which can literally be 10 minutes, you're like, oh, okay, I kind of get that. And so a big thing for me doing this is like bringing all of that together so that it's because some people, you know, you're caught up in your everyday life and you don't get to go out and do what, you know, what we get to do. And so if you can learn something new and see, you know, hear someone else's story, be like, oh, because like for just example is like I had a teammate in Poland who's like, you know, self-proclaimed almost kind of racist guy. I don't like black people, Joey. And I was like, bro, okay, like, how many black guys do you know? None.
That's crazy.
Because Poland has, you know, such the strict immigration laws. And so I go, well, then how do you know that? And then, you know, later I'm looking on his Facebook and one of the past imports was a black, his arm around him. Oh, I loved, you know, oh, well, I loved him, you know, and it was just like, no. So what's your basis of, you know, reasoning for all of this? And so just kind of when I was starting this up and initially, like, I got to be honest, it's like you were like one of the first people that I wanted to talk with just because, man, you know how we've been friends now or friends,
decades.
Whatever. A decade now. And we'd end some workouts at 1 p.m. and we don't get in our cars till 2 p.m. and, you know, even when we're still getting in the car, conversation's still going. And, you know, and so like I was kind of saying earlier too, is just kind of, you know, you've given so much to me that it's like, I feel like if we could help spread that, you know, in any way. And I know you like the incognito thing, but we're kind of coming to that point where, you know, and it's an exciting time though, I think. And
I mean, when you talk about as a trainer, I'm a trainer, but the relationship I have with my clients and my athletes and people, it goes both ways, man.
Yeah.
I mean, it really does go both ways. You know, I grew up as a young person, you know, dealing with, you know, when I was really young, dealing with a level of toxic stress.
Right.
Toxic stress means that, you know, your family life is just kind of like it's unpredictable, you know, on a chaotic end.
Yeah.
So you didn't know what, and then you get, and then when a little kid feels, they call the flight response.
Right.
That primal response that you deal with in nature, that's your survival response. It's not a healthy thing. You know, you get all kinds of floodgates opening up in your brain, and you get used to that. And I grew up through that situation. And you grew up through situations where you feel like you're dealing with a little bit level of rejection, and you have to deal with that. And you have to find out. You know, I grew up in a situation where I had to get to a certain level where I had to go, okay, it's all on me now.
Right.
I got to make it right. All this stuff that's going around me is not my fault. these are people dealing with certain issues and stuff like that. That's kind of like spilling over on me.
Mm-hmm.
I got to kind of push myself away from that and not internalize the stuff that's going down around me. What is my purpose? So, I think there's certain kids out there, and they go through that. There's kids that are what they call survivors, and there's ones that and kind of see things they see things from a perspective, and you got the other ones that kind of get sucked up into it.
Yeah.
And they don't know their reality gets so distorted they actually living in it. I just told myself when I was really young I was going to remove myself from that.
Right.
You know what I mean? That makes any sense. And you see that in different parts of the world. You've been around the world.
Yeah.
You see some homeless kids out in third world countries, in Brazil.
Yeah.
In Thailand or whatever.
Yeah.
And how are they surviving out there when they're 12 or 13 years old or 10 years old. I look at guys like, even in the States, you look at guys that like certain comedians.
Yeah.
You look at Dave Chappelle, and you look at like Eddie Murphy. Guys that actually, worked in adult clubs.
Young kid,
like 15, 14 years old.
Yeah.
How you gonna work in an adult club and make people laugh unless you had that kind of survival instinct? You know what I'm saying? And have a talent at the same time.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? You look at somebody like Dave Chappelle. Dave Chappelle's been, I saw his performance on Netflix not too long ago. He's, upper 40s, close to 50, but he's been performing since he was 15 years old, man. He's been in clubs in New York City where they'll boo you and throw rocks at you, man, if you're not doing well. He's in there making people laugh.
Yeah.
And he doesn't know anything about the adult world. He's only a 15-year-old middle school kid. You know what I'm saying? A junior high kid. How do you do that? Mm-hmm. And I know kids nowadays around here, and very few are at that level. And there are some though. There are some. We just got to, they might be in the STEM program. You got some of them kids are going to running START.
Yep.
And some of them are in college already at University of Washington or some of these other universities that they're only 15 to 16 years old. But they are out there. Those outliers are out there.
For sure.
But when I was a kid, I just learned, early on, it's like, man, I got to remove myself from this, else I'm not going to survive. I'm not going to live.
Yeah. Well, and so you were born in Germany, right?
I was born in Germany.
And then what was the transition? Because I know you grew up for the most part in Tacoma, but what was the transition like?
My mom's a war baby, and I'm a war baby.
Okay.
It wasn't for wars, I wouldn't be in existence.
Right.
That's kind of how it works. A lot of people died because of the wars, and a lot of people were created because of wars. And I'm one of those guys that's created because of wars.
Interesting.
My great grandmother was from Czechoslovakia. She was a Jew, and Czechoslovakia had the highest Jewish population in Germany. Mm-hmm. During back in the war, World War II, and so what happened at that time? She met a German soldier. German soldiers told her, it's like, I got 5 kids at the home. My wife just passed away. I'm not gonna survive this war. You have a choice. Either I'm gonna let everybody know who the hell you are, or you can marry me and you go back to Germany and take care of my kids. So that's kind of like that was presented to her. All of her family. All of my great-grandmother's families were executed.
Damn.
Were murdered during World War II. She ended up going on a train, getting married to him, going on a train, posing as she was a Czechoslovakian citizen, but she was also Jewish too.
Damn.
But nobody knew she was Jewish. They just looked at her as being a citizen. So she got on the train and went back to Germany, raised his kids. And that's how my grandmother was born. So I know all this stuff because that's my family, expressed that situation.
Yeah.
They told me the whole story.
Yeah.
Because they were kind of curious when they were growing up that she had all these Jewish customs.
Right.
It wasn't practicing religion. She got into Catholicism, because she had to fit in. But she used to say certain terms, like terms of endearment. Like she used to call my mother Bubala.
Bubala. Okay. Yep.
And that's like a term of endearment. So she, it's like, why are you calling this that term? Because nobody else says that around here. You know what I'm saying? And then finally, she finally, before she passed away, told her the story of where she really came from, who she really was.
Oh man! Yeah. So it didn't even come until she was. Yeah, older. Because that's.
Yeah. And so my mother, my grandmother, they were in Germany at that time, and my grandmother met my grandfather during the war. he was African American from Mississippi.
Okay.
And my grandmother's, Caucasian from Germany.
Yeah.
And they had a relationship, and got really close. And but at that time, if an African American was with a European, during that period of time, that African American was hung.
Shit.
It was considered rape. But she had actually got pregnant, and then she had my mother. And so he couldn't take her back home back in the 40s, back to Mississippi and get married and raise his kids. So it's like he had to just go back home. But he'd be stationed occasionally in Germany. And when he came, my mother grew up in a small town. He would come to the school and watch her play.
Wow.
So my mother saw this African American man, who was very few African American men come through there. We used to hang out and watch her play. So my mother watched this guy, and he watched her, but he never knew who that guy was.
Whoa.
That was her dad.
Whoa.
So my mother was part black, part white, grew up in Germany post-World War II. She was born in 1946.
Wow.
Yeah. And then she met my father when she was in her teens. And my father was stationed out there. He's from Clarksville, Tennessee. And so they met, and they got married.
In Germany?
Yeah. And,
okay.
And the way my mother found her father, was through they were out in the bar playing pool.
Yeah.
And she was with my dad, and there was this gentleman that was just staring at my dad. And back in those days, you ain't supposed to look at somebody else's woman.
Uh-huh.
So my dad's looking at him saying, what you looking at? He's like, I'm looking at her. He's like, don't look at her. That's my woman right there. So you need to keep your eyes somewhere else.
Okay.
So he's playing pool. He looks up and he sees my dad, not my dad, but seeing that man looking at my mom again. He walks up to her and say, we have to go outside and fight. You know what I'm saying? I said, I told you once before, I'm going to tell you again, we're going to start fighting right now. He says, they don't need to do that because that's my daughter right there. He's like, really? So he goes back to he sits there and talks to him and gathers information from him. And he's like, and he said, wow. He went back to my mom and said, this guy over here that's standing right there, he says it's your dad. He says he's your dad. Do you know him? She goes, I've seen him before around town growing up. I never met him. I don't know who he is.
Whoa. So that's how she found out.
That's how they found her dad. So they introduced each other. We talked. She went back home and said, I met this guy today, and I met him in the bar. Who is this guy? He says he's my dad. I never met him before. He never mentioned him before. And my grandmother says, what's his name? She goes, Sammy. That's him. That's him. Sammy's and that's how my mother met her dad. My dad was a Vietnam vet.
Okay.
So he spent 3 tours in Vietnam, and they had me a year later. My grandfather married his wife. They were stationed, and they had 5 kids at that time when they met. So my grandfather had a child, and my parents had, and I was born. And my grandfather had a child same time. Me and I have an uncle that's the same age as me. We were born in Germany, so we kind of grew up together. So and the families came together after that, which is really cool. So I got family, from down south, and I got family here in Germany. So I got 2 sides of my family. So I kind of grew up in the military environments, military bases. We ended up in Fort Lewis in the 70s.
Okay.
And then my dad
from Germany. That was the first move.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah. And he had an honorable. We went to Fort Campbell, Kentucky first.
Okay.
And then lived in Tennessee for a while. Then we ended up here in Fort Lewis.
Okay.
And so my dad came back. He went first tour, second tour, third tour. He came back sick. So
Gotcha.
Agent Orange, PTSD,
Yep.
all those kind of issues. Back in those days, the military didn't really support their troops like they did when they came back home.
Yeah.
So
they still aren't supporting very well.
If you weren't keeping up and you had issues, there was no counseling.
Okay.
There was no record. You just had to suck it up.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of guys, we got honorable discharge. Some got dishonorable. My dad got an honorable discharge. They basically got booted out.
Just because he was just struggling mentally?
Mentally.
Okay. So
once he got out, he was drafted. He spent all that time. It's kind of crazy, though, because when you drafted during the 60s, you think about it, as an African American, you can't even vote for the president.
Dude, I know.
You know what I'm saying? So there's a lot of psychological baggage that comes with going out and fighting for a war that didn't make any sense.
Right.
And then coming back and not being appreciated for serving the country.
Yeah.
And
the opposite of
with
appreciated.
Everybody dealt with it, but that's a unique place to be able to deal with something like that. Being drafted, coming from Jim Crow South, having a family, getting booted out the military, and then trying to find a way to support your family, those kind of things, and then you dealing with mental issues.
Yeah.
And so he never really recovered from that. Okay. So we had, it was when I talk about toxic stress as a kid.
Yeah.
One thing that people don't talk about when you have military people that come back and go through that PTSD, that also bleeds over into the family situation.
For sure.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
The wife, the kids, they all deal with that level of stress. It comes home. And so I had to deal with that for many years as a kid. And so I became, violent as a kid and real quick to lose my temper and get in fights and stuff like that. And so I had to kind of grow out of that one because I got.
At what age was it? Like,
man, it took me to probably around 11 or 12 years old when I kind of grew out of that.
Okay.
Where basically I got gotten a couple of altercations.
Yeah.
Where I got beat down. You know what I'm saying? Trying to fight older kids and stuff like that, and getting a real good beat down.
What were some of your fights that can you remember any specific ones? Or
I had one where I was picked. I was a bully a little bit. When I got frustrated, I tried to lay it out on somebody, and I was getting ready to fight a kid, and there was another kid that was a little bit older than me. And he was a wrestler. He was an all-state wrestler, one of the top wrestlers in the state.
Okay.
And he's like, "Take me on." I said, "I'll take you on." So we went at it, and he went after me, and he went after my legs and grabbed my legs and lifted me off the ground. And we in the street, and there's probably 30 kids out there watching, and he slammed me against the ground.
Damn.
And then he got on top of me, like you see in MMA. Back in the day, there was no MMA, but this is some serious MMA going on this time. And he grabs the back of my head, and he takes this one hand, he grabs my nose and starts squeezing it. So he kept squeezing it, and then he takes his hand and starts. After he squeezes really hard, he punches my nose as hard as he can. Then he grabs my nose again, he punches it again. And about the third or fourth punch, I saw all the people around me just back off. I'm like, why is everybody backing off?
Oh, no.
And he looks at me, and he backs off. And I'm like, what's going on, And I'm looking, and I can see in my eyes, blood is just squirting out of my nose. Like every time, like you see on TV, was your heart beating, and he hit something up there. And I'm just bleeding everywhere, man. I had a white T-shirt on. That's like beet red. And I just grabbed my nose, and I said, "I'm done." He said, "Yeah, you're done." And everybody goes, "You're done." So I go home, and that was one of my first ones. And I came home and knocked on my door, and my mom opens the door. I said, "Hey," she goes, she said, "All the blood on me." She goes, "Take that shirt off, throw it in the garbage, wash yourself up, take a shower, and have dinner." That's how my mother handled it. There was no hugging or kissing or nothing like that. Just, you got beat up, it's cool. Just clean up, go eat, do your homework, go to sleep. And so,
take your loss.
Yeah, and so I was known as one of the tougher kids in the neighborhood, so everybody was in shock that I got a beat down like that. And so I remember how he came at me and grabbed my legs and threw me down. I said, that ain't gonna happen again. And I kept rehearsing that in my mind. And I was one of those kids I was one of those kids I thought I could do anything.
Okay.
If a dog would come to attack me, in my mind I can grab the dog and grab his jaws and open up his jaws and break his jaws, that kind of deal. My first basketball game, I tried to dunk the ball when I was in 5th grade. I thought I was gonna be able to dunk it.
How'd that go?
It was a. I never played hoop before.
Okay.
I grew
5th grade was first when you started.
I grew up in a toxic environment, and so
Right.
my dad wasn't taking me to play hoop or nothing. So I had a bunch of friends of mine say, "You want to try for basketball?" I said, "Yeah." I ain't never played no hoop basketball. I ain't never touched a basketball in my life. But I was really tall at that time. So I'm at practice, and I'm sitting in front of the line, and I'm an alpha male, and so I got in front of the line. I should have got in the back to watch the other kids do what they had to do so I can figure out what the hell's going on. But I got in front of the line. He threw me the ball. The coach threw me the ball and said, "Do a layup." I go, I don't know, what the hell's a layup? So I gave it the guy the ball next to me, and he does a layup. So I get the ball, and I'm like, okay, I just bounce the ball a couple times and throw it in there like he did. I bounce the ball and throws bangs off the backboard. I'm like, I really don't know what I'm doing here. So I mean, I was one of those kids though that if I didn't know what I was doing, I figured it out.
Right.
So I went back home that day, found me a park, and probably did about 500 layups.
Right.
To make sure I know how to do a layup. So I got that down. But then we had a game, our first game, and I had to do a jump ball in the center. I was a center jump ball.
Okay.
And he didn't coach. He was a horrible coach. So I was like, he didn't show me how to do a jump ball. So I didn't know what the hell a jump ball. He just put me out in front center. I got to sit there. Russ got the ball. He throws it up
He's
in the air.
expecting you to just know. Yeah.
I said, what's gonna happen? He's gonna throw it up in the air and you go get it. You go tip it. I'm gonna tip. I don't know what the hell a tip is. I said, as he throws the ball, I said, okay, what we gonna do? I gotta do something. I saw Dr. J grab a ball. And I saw him jump from the free throw line and dunk the ball. I can do that too. So the guy throws the ball up there. I just grab it and I start dribbling. I don't know which hoop is our hoop. So, I hear everybody screaming. The whole place is packed. I hear coaches screaming. I hear parents screaming. Kids are screaming. I'm grabbing the ball. I'm dribbling as hard as I can. I see the free throw line as I'm getting to it, and I jump from it. And I try to dunk it. And the ball flies way out somewhere else, and I'm jumping from the free throw line at fifth grade. At about, I'm about 5'2", trying to dunk a ball. And I stop, and the refs are on the ground laughing. All the kids, half of them were on the ground laughing. My coach was on the ground laughing. The other coaches, all the parents was just laughing. And my coach was like, come here, man. He said, what are you trying to do? I said, I don't know what I was trying to do because I didn't
tell me nothing, yeah.
So that's the kind of kid I was back then.
Okay.
So I remember when I got beat down that time, I remember Damien too, man. That guy, I know his name. But
he got you?
No. I'm hanging out with friends again.
Oh, okay.
We're walking in the streets, and here's Damon again. And they said, "There's Damon." I was with the older kids now, and I got to show face, man. There's Damon again. You gonna let him beat you down this time?
Okay.
Say, hey, Damon, come here. And Damon said, "Oh man, you got beat down. You want another one?" I'm like, "No, I don't want another one, man." And then the other guys, you better do something, man. You better fight. Let's see what you can do, Tim. Said, oh, okay. I didn't want to. The older kids, I never wanted to shame them at all. It's because in the neighborhood, we had no gangs back then.
Okay.
So the only way that you showed allegiance to the neighborhood is that you were down for the neighborhood. You had to actually you had 3 beatings a year. That makes any sense.
Okay.
You had 3 beatings from older kids. I was probably about 11 years old. The kids were like 17 and 18.
Really?
That I was hanging around with.
Okay.
And so you had to get 3 beatings a year. I remember my first beating.
Are they like scheduled? Or like, I mean, like,
you got one in the beginning of the year when school starts. You got one on your birthday. And you got one at the end of the year. And that's to show that if you didn't take a beating, that means you weren't down for the neighborhood.
Huh.
And back in those days, if you think about it, back in Jim Crow, back in the old days when everything was segregated,
yeah,
that's the people in the neighborhood had to depend on each other to survive.
For sure.
You know what I'm saying? Somebody lost their job, you could feed them. So you want to know that you were down for the neighborhood. This was before gangs. Gangs, when they first started, that's what they were. Mm-hmm. The Crips were basically like a public, like a social service net. That's what it was before it became hardcore gangs and drugs and all that kind of stuff. So before, if you didn't have the gang, formal gang situation, it still had gang mentality. So I remember when I first moved in the neighborhoods, I was hanging out with a bunch of older kids, and one of the older kids asked me, "When's your birthday, Tim?" "Oh, October 25th." And everybody looks at each other. "Oh, okay. That's coming up in about a month."
No.
I'm like, "You guys gonna give me a cake or some presents and stuff?" I'm like, "Yeah, we're gonna hook you up. We're gonna give you something what you need." And so I remember that on my birthday, they remembered it too. I mean, they wrote it down on a ledger. I don't know, everybody remembered it. So I'm sitting in the house eating dinner with my family, and the door knocks, and my mom goes and opens the door, and they see a bunch of kids out there, a bunch of old teenagers. And they go, I'm like 11, 10 years old, and it's like, "Tim, Tim's gonna come out." My mom goes up and says, "Hey, Tim, your friends are out there, and they want to go out and play. When you get done eating, go out and play." So I, go tell them that you're gonna go out there and play. So I go down after my mom. Actually, I open the door, and they look at me and they go, "It's your time now. Initiation time."
Oh, man.
Call it initiation.
Oh, man.
They call it hazing somewhere else.
Yeah.
I'm like, man, I gotta go out there. So I go out in the back. I go outside. I go out in the side. I had a friend of mine having dinner with me. So I go outside of the house. And they started beating. I mean, they don't beat you in the face or nothing. They hit you in the soft tissues.
Okay.
Kind of like you getting a massage. So they hit me on my thigh, my hamstring, my glutes.
And everybody
shoulders,
at once?
My arms.
Like
everybody at once.
Everybody at once.
Pounding
Okay.
on you.
Yeah.
And so you end up basically with like Charlie horses all over you for like last about 2 weeks, bruises and stuff all over you. So I'm sitting there just getting beat, and they wouldn't stop. And one of my buddies, he's like, man, you guys got to stop, man. He's done now. And they go, you want some? My other friend was about the same age as me. You want some? He goes, no, you ain't going to do nothing to me because I got my brother. His brother was a beast. His brother was like all-state football, everything. And it's like, I'll tell my brother on y'all. And he's like, man, we got like, how many guys? We got 10 or 12. Your dad, your brother going to fight 10 of us?
Yeah.
You better not tell your brother. Matter of fact, you don't get your beat now. So one of the guys grabs my other buddy. They grab him. He's squirming around, trying to get away. He couldn't get away. They grabbed him. They threw him up in the air. He must have been up in the air like 8 feet. And as I saw him, as he was coming down really slowly, I saw all these punches start hitting him on the way down to the ground. Then he's on the ground in a fetal position, just crying, So I'm like, man, this is what kind of. I lived in Tennessee for a while. So I had to live back and forth with my grandparents. That's why I moved to this neighborhood. And that's the neighborhood that kind of. It was funny because every house in the neighborhood had at least 3 to 5 kids, some more than that. So it's massive kids, and that mentality, if you can imagine, from ages from 6 years old up to 18, and it was chaos every day. We played tackle football on the street. We played tackle on cement. We ran track meets. We had basketball tournaments. It was like a really great place to grow up.
Yeah.
It wasn't all violent, nothing like that. It was just a part of the game. And so, I got that. That's the first time I got the beat down. So now, Damon, going back forward again.
Yeah.
Damon's sitting there. He's looking at me, ready to beat me down again. And everybody's standing there watching me. And I had to. These are the guys that I had to get initiated with.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Yeah.
And so they want me to, prove my manhood again and be a part of the neighborhood. Because I was supposed to be the toughest kid. They told me when I was younger, "You're the toughest kid we've ever seen." And I believed at that time, at my age, I believed there was no kid that was 10 years old on planet Earth that can hang with me in a fight. I had 18-year-old kids telling me, nobody can beat you. And this guy's right here. He's a couple years older than you. He's a great wrestler and everything, but you got to get down with him.
And you think the reason for all this was because of like growing up with your dad and everything?
No, the reason why I was that way is because it's like if you believe enough, especially at that age, when there's no talent or skill involved, if you believe enough, that makes you tough. You know what I'm saying?
True.
And a lot of times, in people don't understand. Like in the hood, the toughest guy is not the biggest guy.
Right.
The toughest guy is the craziest one. So I grew up in a situation where I had to kind of like shield myself from a 6'3", 200-pound man that was beastly strong. That he went after me.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
When things didn't go well for him, he laid it on me.
Yeah.
So who am I scared of anymore?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I'm dealing with a 200-pound man that's 6'3", that's got muscles all over him, that's beating me, that's getting after me.
Yeah.
Think I'm scared of no teenager?
True. Yeah.
8th grader or anybody?
And those beatings they just come randomly, or
they came when that's the key. When a person's sober and fine, there's the most loving, most wonderful human being on the planet.
Right.
But then when they start drinking, we all had friends that in college or whatever that you didn't want to put no alcohol in them.
For sure.
And you go out in a public situation, that's gonna go down. My dad was one of those guys.
Gotcha.
When he started drinking, he turned the completely opposite end of the spectrum. And then he wants to touch you. He wants to get violent.
Right.
He wants to get violent.
Yeah.
And so I was, we got in a fight again. Damon came at me. Same scenario kicked in. He went down low, tried to get my legs. I backed up, took my knee back, and I hit him right at the top of his forehead with the top of my knee. Kneed him really hard. He came up like Rock'em Sock'em Robot. And then I start pounding on him, and I beat him down. Everybody, and then I walked away. He was crying and everything, and I walked back to my house with all the teenagers, a big guy. But then the following Monday, I'm at school, and he's in like 9th grade, and I'm in 6th grade or whatever.
Okay.
And so I'm sitting there in school, and class is almost out, and the window's open, and somebody's looking out the window, and they, "Hey Tim, there's somebody out here waiting for you, man. There's somebody. Go to the window. They're asking for you." So I'll go to the window, and there's Damon again. Damon's standing out there, he's like, "Let's go again."
Rubber match.
And it dawned on me at that point. I'm like, okay, this is a different situation out here, man. He's crazy. I'm kind of crazy too, and there's some different rules out here. Between me and him, this could never end.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So I got to end it right now. You know, so when school was out, I went out the back door instead of the front. I was gone. I wasn't dealing with him no more. And then it kind of faded out the way. I remember going to college though. I went to college. This is after 10 years old. You know, I go to college. I come back home, and I'm driving, and I see a guy at the bus stop that looks very familiar to me. This guy's like 6'6", weighs about 260, looks like a defensive end in the NFL. And I'm sitting there driving. I look and I go, man, I know that guy, but I don't know. I can't pinpoint where it's at, but I know him. I'm gonna pick him up and see where he's going. So I pulled over. I said, hey man, get in the car, man. Where you going? I'll drive you where you gotta go. He said, I'm going about 5 miles up the street here. Thank you, man. She sits in the car as we drive, and I'm sitting there, I'm looking. He said, man, I know you from somewhere. He looks at me. He's like, he goes, you look familiar to me too, man. I was like, he goes, you named Tim Manson? I go, yeah, that's me. He goes, I'm Damon. I'm like, I go, damn, Damon. Man, remember we used to go fight, man. Remember the days we used to go at it on each other, man? He's like, yeah, man, those were the greatest days in the world, man. I remember those times, man. We were beating each other down like crazy. This is the greatest time in the world I had for me. Those are the good old days, man. I'm like, I don't know if those are the good old days or not, but but I'm looking at him like, I would not even put a hand on you right now, man. I said, what you been up to? I just got out of prison. I was in prison for 5 years. You know what I'm saying?
Dang. Yeah.
You know, in prison for 5 years. He's got out of prison. You know, when I picked him up, he just got out of prison. You know what I mean? I'm like, and I wouldn't even touch that man right now. I'm like, I'm in college right now. I'm like, God, my life has changed, man.
Yeah.
My life has really, really changed because I was going in that direction. And you know, what saved me was that block.
Yeah, I was going to say, what was the turning point?
Because we had really great athletes in our block. I mean, we had newspapers coming on a Sunday. Those same people in my neighborhood, those same guys I would walk around with, were the same guys that were in the newspaper. And then as I got older, they would go to college. They wouldn't finish or whatever. Nobody ever really kind of moved on. All this crazy talent, and guys didn't move on because they had 2 kids. Guys didn't move on because they got addicted to drugs. Some of them got caught in crime. Some of them smoking reefer too much. They had all these little things, liabilities that kept them from going where they need to go. And most of those kids tried to protect me from going in the direction they did. So I was surrounded by everything, sex, drugs, everything. But nobody ever handed it to me.
Gotcha.
They didn't touch me. They didn't want to touch me. They got me on the court. They had me run. They do all kinds of different things. All the training stuff that we do.
Yeah.
Man, we had TV trays. We do hurdles on TV trays. We high jump on cars. Because back in those days, cars were made out of steel. They weren't made out of aluminum or in plastic. They were made out of steel. So you could
jump up on them?
Jump on top of the car and land on the car. So when I jump on the car, do a Fosbury flop on top of the car, or it says just land my butt on the car, and then go on the track, me do the exact same thing and break records. That's how we used to do it back then. Damn. You know, we used to jump from roof to roof. We used to climb trees 60 feet up, working on our strength, upper body strength, and our legs.
Because there wasn't really the prototypical training yet, right?
No protocol training, no weights, no nothing. No. I literally started training. You know, I got a cement weight set from Kmart. Okay. It had little instructions on it, different weights that you can do. It had a little bench, and that's the weights I had from 12 years old all the way up to high school. And I used to work on those weights every morning at 4 o'clock in the morning. I wrote up programs. I had kids, even older kids, come to my house and we train in my house.
Wow.
That's how we used to train.
Really?
So we get us an edge, yeah.
Dang.
Yeah. So all the kids around my age and the ones that are younger, we all started going somewhere. Things that started happening for us. Because we went to school, we had discipline, we worked out every day, and we got ourselves in the right situation. I found out as I got in college, my coaches told me this, you know, you're the first kid that we kind of brought in because we had kids before you, and those are the same kids that grew up ahead of me that we brought in here that didn't last. They flunking out of school, they had no discipline, they got in fights, they did all kinds of weird stuff that we had to get them out of here. And when I offered you this opportunity, this scholarship, all the alumni and people around me saying, don't take that kid from that area, from that part, from Tacoma, whatever, don't take him because these kids don't last. You're crazy if you bring this kid in here to invest in him. So I came in, and now I was doing well. My coach sat me down, and he says, Tim, I just want to thank you for doing so well because I was told not to bring you in here because of where you came from. Wow. And then the next year, when I was in school, the coach would come up to me and he says, "What do you think about this kid or that kid and that kid?" And I was like the catalyst to bring more kids start coming in. So all the kids started coming in. So now you see like your Lawyer Malloys.
Yep.
And you see your John Kittners. All those guys came from my neighborhood. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
You know, they all came from my neighborhood. And that was like the start of all the kids coming out. And now you got the Isaiah Thomas and Abdul Gaddis and all these other people that come through. You know, Trufants and all those guys. You know what I'm saying? They all came from my neighborhood. You know, so that's how it kind of worked. It's always about legacy. And I kind of knew that then. It was a negative legacy I had to cancel. And then there's a positive legacy that once you get to that place and you start representing, more people can come through and represent and go out there and make an impact in the world.
Right, yeah.
That makes any sense.
Yeah, totally. Why'd you choose Wazoo? What was the other ideas with
Man, back in those days, we blew in the wind, man.
Yeah.
We didn't have no social media. The coaches found out about you through alumni and through media, through newspapers, primarily. You had to have crazy, ridiculous, stupid numbers for anybody to even take a look at you. You know what I'm saying? Some college recruiters offered you scholarships and letters of intent and didn't even see you play.
Wow.
That's
true, yeah.
I got my first letter of intent, you know, for playing basketball, and I'd never met the coach. He had the papers, the whole scholarship offer, letter of intent, sign it, you go to the school. I didn't see no coach. I didn't get a phone call from him. I would have signed a letter of intent, got in the car, and drove over to campus and started school. Based on what the alumni said.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it was different back then.
Yeah, now
when I picked Wazoo, I was supposed to go to Oregon.
Okay.
I went to the recruiting trip the whole nine. I don't know if I want to share this, but I went to the recruiting trip and I was going to sign the letter of intent, get ready. It was a recruit. I was going to sign my letter to go to the University of Oregon. And then the coach at Washington State found out I was going to Oregon. They were rivals. And he said, and they had Aaron Haskins. I don't know if you know Aaron Haskins.
I don't.
Aaron Haskins was when he played for Wazoo in the basketball squad. Aaron's from Tacoma, from our neighborhood, 6'9" guy. Went to Washington State University, went to Mount Oma High School, grew up in my neighborhood. Beautiful, wonderful family.
Your class, your age?
No, he was about 5 years older than me.
Okay.
So Aaron is a big star at Washington State. Now, the cool thing about his team, they went to the Final 8 in the NCAA tournament. 5 guys on their basketball team got drafted. They have 5 guys go draft in the NBA. Who does that?
Dang.
5 guys got drafted. James Donaldson, Craig Elo, Guy Williams, Aaron Haskins. They had 5 Collins. They had a squad. So back in those days, we had no security in airports. Remember those days? You just walk out the airport.
I don't.
You walk out the airport, the whole family standing right there at the gate where you walk out. And they all hug in, got signs and stuff. Now it's in the baggage area.
Yeah, right. Okay.
But back in the day, you
could just
stand
be right there.
Yeah. You just walk right to the plane. There was no security whatsoever. No security, zero.
Man.
And so
like getting on a bus.
It's like getting on a bus.
Yeah.
It's like Greyhound.
Yeah.
So I'm a recruiting trip. Wazoo found out about it. They had Aaron come over and meet me at the gate. So they had Aaron go talk to my mom so that my mom don't think I'm kidnapped. Say, we're gonna take your son. We're gonna meet him at the gate. And my mom we had no cell phones.
Right.
So I'm driving over. I'm flying over here. I'm expecting to see my family waiting for me at the front of the gate. But Wazoo had called my mom, said, we're gonna meet him at the gate and we're gonna spend a day with him. And my mom couldn't send me a text or give me a call and say, hey, we ain't gonna meet you at the gate, somebody else gonna be there. So I got out the gate and my family's not there. Where the hell's my family at? I see this big old tall 6'9" guy standing there. He got his Wazoo stuff on and he goes, Tim Manson? I go, yeah. Oh yeah, I just talked to your mom. And she says it's okay for us to hang out. I go, you Aaron Haskins? I go, yeah, I'm Aaron Haskins. You're Tim Manson? Yeah. We're gonna hang out, man. I heard that you just got back from Oregon for a recruiting trip. How about, you have any interest in coming to Washington State University? I'm like, no, I don't talk to you guys at all.
Yeah.
Who are you? Can we spend, you can spend it, you got all day to spend time with me? I go, yeah. So we spent all day together. We waterfront, walking around, going to the aquarium, eating, hanging out. I'm hanging out with the guy that, back in those days, he was like the man back then.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Dang.
So we hanging out all. I'm like, man. And at the end of the day, a couple days later, I signed a letter of intent to go to Washington State. That's how it went down. I'm a ghetto kid, man. I don't know no better, man.
Yeah. But hey, if you got the guy
Yeah.
you know, telling
Yeah,
you,
yeah.
come be with me. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what you're
I was
gonna
a ghetto
do.
kid, man. I had no clue.
Oh man.
No ethics, no nothing. I didn't even call back to Oregon and say I'm going to the school. They just found that I was going to Wazoo, and they go, yeah, that's typical.
Yep.
That's some typical ghetto stuff right there, man.
Man.
Oh man, so that's how I ended up there, man. So yeah, I mean, and you know, if I was a basketball player, and I got serious about running track in my senior year because my basketball season, my senior, wasn't where I wanted to be. So I was like, I'm gonna go out here and kill everybody on the track.
Yeah, that's what I was curious.
I had a really good coach, and he said I can be the best in the country. And I said, hey, coach, I just want to be the best in Tacoma. What are you talking about?
So when I go
the whole
back
country,
home, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But I ended up being, top 5 in the country that year. You know,
800,
and if
right?
I believed what our coach said,
Right.
that's what I learned. It's like if you got people around you that have earned it and have been around for a while and have this tremendous amount of wisdom, they tell you can do something, you can do it. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes you have to match the level of your belief in yourself as much as certain people believe in you.
For sure.
That makes any sense.
You gave me chills with that one.
You know what I'm saying?
I mean, because, man, I've told you before,
Yeah.
you've been such a believer in me. And,
Yeah.
and at times when, I've always had some confidence.
Yeah.
But, you said, man, this was going, it's stuck in my head, man. It's like maybe 2-3 years ago, I come in with the beard, long hair, and you're like, hey, guys, don't be fooled by one day, Joey's going to be one of those guys. And I'm thinking like, damn, like I appreciate it, but
yeah. That's for real.
Like in my own mind, but that to your point is I didn't at that point, 3, 4, 5 years, I didn't believe what you were saying, but now it's like, oh.
No, some people, I mean, most guys like me, I mean, I don't say that unless I believe it.
Yeah.
I won't say nothing. I'll just let it, I'll work on the person. I believe in everybody is capable, but I'll work on the person before I even spit that out.
Right.
But if I spitting that out, I mean it.
Yeah.
And when our coach said that to me, he meant it.
Yeah.
And if I'd have believed to the level of his belief, it's just like my kids. It's like I told my kids this when they were younger.
Mm-hmm.
I said, if you believe in yourself as much as your mama and I believe in you, there's some great things gonna happen for you.
Yeah.
Because we've been around the block a little bit. We know what you have. We know what's out there. We know what you have, what you're capable of doing. You just gotta start matching us. Start matching us, or even surpassing us. I mean, how many people out there? You look at the Venus Williams sister. You look at all these. I mean, not these tiger parents. I'm talking about parents that are there for their kids, but then they just have this. They just know.
Yeah.
You just know. I worked with a kid that lived in California, Southern California, in the same neighborhood as Venus and Serena's family, and he would walk to school. He went to Carson High School.
Yep.
He used to walk to school and he'd see this. They had this, most of the bad. Not bad. There's no bad neighborhood, but I'm saying, in the hood in Southern California, they weren't hoods back in the 50s or the 40s. That's where everybody lived.
Yeah.
And that's where the middle class and upper echelon and everybody moved out.
Yeah, my best friend's dad grew up in Compton.
Yeah.
But he was right at that switch. And I remember him telling me about Compton. I'm like,
and then it switched.
Yeah.
And so they got tennis courts. He said he walked by the tennis. Nobody used the tennis court. It's a tennis court sits there. Nobody uses it. He's walking to school in the morning. He sees this man with his his young baby daughter screaming and hollering at him, with tennis rackets. He's like, this guy is crazy. Everybody in the neighborhood thinks this guy is crazy, trying to teach his kid a sport that black folks don't play. You know what I'm saying? In the hood. It don't make no sense to me. He's like, I'm walking to school, I'm seeing it. I'm like, this guy is crazy.
God.
And so think about it. The whole neighborhood thinks this man is crazy. He's trying to try to make his little daughters become professional tennis players.
Yeah.
And what happened? You know what I'm saying?
It happened.
What happened? It happened.
Exactly.
He believed that much. All they had to do was match him. He knew they had the ability. All he had to do was match them. And they matched them, and great things that happen for you.
It's true.
You know what I'm saying?
Very
There's
true.
certain people that are qualified to say those things.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Some people ain't qualified. Some people just be talking.
Yeah.
And there's people that actually mean it.
Yeah.
For me personally, I've been living. You know what living is? Living is going through some adversity and struggle.
Hell yeah.
And overcoming that constantly overcoming struggle and adversity and having somebody say you can't do it and you actually do it. And maybe and sometimes even self-sabotaging a little bit and fighting through that kind of stuff. And you get to a place where he's like, I know. I know it. There's a knowing. There's a knowing to people I deal with. Because I've been working with athletes for so long. And it's not even about athletics. It's about life.
Right.
And you see somebody that has certain skills or certain talents. It's like, oh, Joy, man, you don't even know what you got, bro. You don't know how high that you at right now, man.
Yeah.
There's not a whole lot of people rocking this planet that have what you got, man. We just gotta find. You gotta find a way to get that angle, get these certain doors open, be able to get your message across, have the right platform for you to really express yourself creatively, to let everybody know the benefit. Because you know what? All you're doing is offering a service or a benefit to everybody to uplift themselves.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's how I look at when I'm training. I'm out here. I'm trying to exceed your own expectation. Try to help you get to that place where you're matching your genetic potential or your potential that God has given you. And then for me, I get a tremendous amount of satisfaction just seeing people just excel, because it helps me go after the things I need to go after, because I have to go after certain things too. I have to fight self-sabotage. I have to go through adversity and deal with certain struggles. I have to believe in myself. I got to be surrounded by an environment that is what I call an uplift suasion.
Exactly. Yep.
You know, you're persuaded. You got it's being persuasive and being uplifting, and you combine it in two words and you're making a word that's not even in the dictionary, and you call it uplift suasion. So I want to uplift suade you, and you uplift suade me.
Totally.
Even at my own age, I'll be 54 in a month.
Yeah.
The battle continues, and it will continue to the day I die.
For sure.
At the same time, I got to step back sometimes and take a breath, and really enjoy the relationships and the things I've created. I got to enjoy that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
How old do you feel?
I feel like I'm 30.
Right. Yeah.
Physically.
Yeah.
No, mentally. I mean, here's how it works for me at my age, man. So my knees and my hips, they're about 80. Okay. My muscles and everything else and my metabolic systems is about 30.
Yeah.
My wisdom is 60.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
My libido is about 25. You know what I'm saying? So when you get my age, it's all mixed up. So you can't just throw out there and say, hey, what do you feel like? You 30?
Okay, yeah.
Parts of me feel like I'm 30. Parts of me feel like I'm 80. Parts feel like I'm 25. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying?
Right. Totally.
You know?
Totally.
And that's not all a good thing. That's a big. That's a hurricane. That's a typhoon.
Sure. Yeah.
That's a storm. It literally is. That's why middle-aged men, they be tripping. True. That's why you get middle-aged men. You got the crazy car. It's like, but I don't want to be that middle-aged man.
Right.
I'm not trying to be that middle-aged man. I'm trying to step back, take a breath, and really appreciate what's around me, and really age gracefully. Be my age. I'm not trying to be, because I might be able to do some young people stuff physically. I'm an OG.
I mean, it trips me out sometimes because we work out together, and I mean, you're leading. It's keep up with Tim. It's it's as much training as it is leading, and then you'll say, I forget, you said something the other day about a music or a movie or something. I was like, I don't know that one, Tim. Sorry, it trips me out sometimes because, like I said, there's those differences.
Yeah.
And
my mother had me when she was 19 years old, man. My dad was like 25 years old. And you think about it, my mom's 19 years older than me. Most of the kids I trained, it's like they 30 years old, younger than me. You probably 20 years younger than me. It's like most of the people I'm dealing with right now, I could either be their kid or close to being their grandfather.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that's kind of how it works. I mean, it's strange that way. My mother, when my stepdad, he's only 10, 15 years older than me. No, 10 years older than me.
Whoa.
You know what I'm saying?
Weird.
It's weird. I mean, so it's funny when you're born in the 60s and you think about it, 60, then you got the early 70s. You go through all the 70s, tumultuous 70s, tumultuous late 60s, really. And then you got the 80s. Then you got the 90s. Then you got 2000s. Then you got 2010.
We're almost out of those.
Then you got another decade, 2020. So how many decades are we talking about? We got 70s, we got 80s, we got 90s, we've got the 2000s, you got the 10s. Now you got like that. how many decades?
Yeah,
6
coming up on
decades.
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That's not even 6 decades. How does that work? But anyway,
7,
you know what I'm
8,
saying?
9, no. Yeah, because we're coming
Yeah,
up on 20.
decade.
Yeah.
6 decades. You know what I'm saying? So those are each one of those decades. We always go by decades sometimes because decades is significant because
Mm-hmm.
if you look at the 70s, you see on CNN they have the 70s
Yeah,
decade,
yeah.
or they had the 80s decade. It's significant because in the 70s was a trip. You go to 80s were a trip. You go to 90s was a trip. Like, music, everything.
Yeah.
You go the 2000s, after 9/11, it changed things.
Right.
And now we got this we got social this era now. Social media, Facebook, we have
Yep.
MySpace,
Yep.
all that stuff, and all the stuff that's going on with anxiety, depression,
For sure.
and the me movements, and all this other stuff that's going on. And now, what are we gonna deal with from 2020 to 2030?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know for a fact where we're going right now, that's gonna be one of those decades.
Totally. Yeah. No.
20
the
to 30
for
is
sure.
gonna be one of them decades.
I.
That's gonna, like, you're looking at the crazy decades we've had in the 70s and 80s and 90s. That decade right there ain't gonna be no joke.
Yeah. We've
I'm feeling it right now.
We've been talking about
Yeah,
it.
I'm feeling it.
We're on the verge of multiple kind of pinnacles.
Yes.
Of knowledge,
Yes.
of nutrition, keeping our bodies, getting
Yeah.
our minds right.
Yeah.
Now it's okay to talk about
Yeah.
mental health.
Yeah,
And,
yeah, it is.
growing
Yes,
up and
yes.
whereas even just for me.
Yes.
I remember when I was younger, like there wasn't
No.
how you feel
No,
really.
no. We didn't talk about that stuff,
It was just tough it up.
Yeah.
And that's just been a change in
Oh, man.
10 years,
Yes,
and so
yes. Mm-hmm.
where we're going to be in the next 10 years and no, it's
We're going to a place, man. I'm very optimistic. We're going to a place that's going to be very wonderful for the globe and for our country. But we're walking a line.
Yeah.
Where it can go completely in the other direction.
For sure.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And we all realize that. Some of us realize. Some of us are in tune with that. Most of us aren't in tune with that, in my opinion. But some of us are in tune with it. But I think there's enough of us are in tune with it that we can keep us on that line and keep us from falling in that negative side. You know what I'm saying? And understand that we have the power. The power is in this. This technology is not a tool. I'm sorry. It's not a life. It's a tool.
Totally.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And it's a tool that bring us all together again. It's a tool. You look at Hitler back and all that propaganda that took place, and this is starting to go in that same direction, but we're starting to cut it off at the pass.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? We're starting to cut it off at the pass. Fake news. No, I mean, we can say fake news all you want, but hey, we need to be. It's really about how we ingesting the news at the same time. Now, I can tell you if it's fake or not, but now we got to start dealing with, I need information. I don't need you to tell me news. I need information. I need resources where I can gather more information from what you're telling me right now so I can find out for myself. You know what I'm saying? So people have being more active and not just being told, but we're starting to say, hey, we're starting to call out BS when we see it.
We are, yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And we are
But we
kind of
also
walking
become
a fine line
a
of
fine
that
line.
too,
Yeah,
because
yeah.
with the whole cancel culture and
Yeah, yeah.
everything that we get is like, you get elected or you come to some position
Yeah,
of
yeah,
power and all
yeah.
of a sudden you said this thing 10
yeah,
years
yeah,
ago
yeah,
and
yeah.
now you're out,
Yeah.
which I agree to a certain
Yeah,
point, but
yeah.
at the same time it's like, you don't know the context, you don't know everything.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
so
Yeah.
like you said, we're walking that fine line.
We're fucking
right
that
now.
fine line right now, and we're trying to figure it out. And you know what? This is ahead of our evolution, and I don't think we ever gonna catch up with it.
Right.
Because right now we think we're gonna catch up to
Yeah.
it, but we're not gonna catch up to it. So now we're talking about artificial intelligence.
Yep.
We're talking about intelligence. We're talking about the technology that's gonna try to think for us.
Yep.
That's where we gotta be careful.
Yep.
You know what I mean? We don't want this thinking for us. Because there's a certain. It's like I always have this term when you, as a trainer, as a coach, you can look at numbers. Numbers can tell you a whole lot, but sometimes numbers don't tell you everything.
Right.
It's like numbers ain't gonna tell you if you got heart.
For sure. Yeah, you can't
You know what I'm
measure
saying? Numbers
heart.
ain't gonna tell you if you got heart. But when you see it, you'll know it when you see it. Heart is something that you know it when you see it. And that's something that a computer can't really pick out. See, a computer is not gonna be able to pick out, say, what's the best shade of red? What's the best shade of red? Computer is like, you got 20 shades of red, it can't, it doesn't matter. But for us, that's what we can do.
Yeah.
We can pick out the best shade of red. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And come to a consensus that red is better than this magenta red or this crimson red or whatever it might be. You know what I'm saying? A computer can't do certain things. It's not going to really test out heart. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. How has your progression with like technology been? Because I mean, I love your Insta. You know, we bond real well with the Instagram posts.
I'm just starting. For me, I'm just starting to. You know, I never really was. You know, I'm a social introvert, so I don't really like put myself out there, and I still don't put myself out there like that. What I do when I have technology, the way I see it, is, you know, my whole life is about uplift suasion.
Yeah.
So, and perspective and attitude and philosophy and how you look at the world. Because those things, if you kind of going through life and not having a philosophy, you're just going through life.
Yeah.
You gotta be able to advocate for yourself and other people and have a philosophy behind everything. I'm not talking politics. I'm talking about just the way you see the world.
Yeah, having a plan.
You know, when I walked in your house, I'm looking at, you know, where everything angles and stuff. I talked about that, and it's like, but that's no judgment call. It's just, it's beautiful, you know, and I'm expressing myself.
Yeah.
So for me, this here is just for me to organize myself, because I'm ADHD.
Yep.
And I'm all over the place. I got to take all this information. I got to put in a spot, in a place where I can manage it without losing it. You know what I'm saying? Not missing calls and not handling this project or doing this and that. So I write everything down constantly, and I kind of categorize things. I got my little way of keeping things in a straight line, linear, instead of being all over the place. But also what it does for me, it allows me a creative outlet.
Yeah.
Because I'm, you know, I've always been an artist at heart. I'm a left and right brain, but I've always been an artist at heart.
Yeah.
There's parts of me as an artist that I haven't really touched, really dove into. And I could have been like a professional artist. In my opinion, when I was younger, I see you got your paintings and stuff up here. I could have done that, but I chose to go in a different direction.
Yeah.
But it's still there.
Yeah.
And for me, my creative expression is trying to fight its way out of me constantly, and I just need an outlet for it.
Yeah.
So my Instagram poster basically is a creative outlet for me. You know what I'm saying? If I wasn't doing that, I'd be drawing or painting or doing something else. But it's more of a creative outlet. But if I'm gonna throw creative outlet to the world, I want to make sure that it's connecting with an audience in a way that they can take something with them, instead of just looking at something, being entertained, or, you know what I'm saying, just being a voyeur type of thing.
Yeah.
I'm trying not to be a voyeur, you know, to feed voyeurism. I'm trying to feed folks that want to be participants in their life,
right,
and be a part of that participatory process.
Yeah.
That makes any sense?
For sure. I've never heard it exactly, you know what I'm saying? Explained that way.
That makes any sense. I'll get people go back and forth. We go back and forth. But if you look at the videos I have, I try to, in a creative way, express something that connects with the message that I'm trying to throw out there. I'm a trainer, so I thought it's gonna be trainer centric. I might throw a little rebar in here and there, and I might throw some other stuff that's got nothing to do with anything. It's just being how creative can you get without just distorting it and making it muddy?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You can throw all the creativity in you can, but it becomes muddy. You know what I'm saying? You got to know when to stop the painting.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You got all these colors, but you keep adding more colors in this, if it turns into black. You know what I'm saying? And mud.
For sure.
You know
yeah,
that's
and as
but I don't want to be oversimplified, because there's people out there that are oversimplified. They just like, when we do an exercise, when I do a video or show some exercises, I'm not showing one little exercise.
Right.
Here's one exercise. Look at me.
Yeah.
Nah, don't look at me. Look at Joy.
Yeah.
Look at these guys over here. Look at that monkey sticking his tongue at us. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? What's kind of message there? And it's like subliminal messages. Some stuff is overt. Some stuff is covert.
Yeah.
Some stuff is subliminal, and some stuff is right in your face.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And the cool thing is, because we have all this technology on our phone, it's like I can whip these out in 30 minutes, man. And the way I do it, if I got a thought in my head, I'll dictate it or I'll write it down. I have a video. I throw a video over here. I throw a video over here. One day I'll just put a couple videos together real quick in about 10 minutes, and I add the little thoughts. I throw it in there. Boom, throw it out there. And people look at it, it's like, man, you must spend hours on that thing. No, it's just I go throughout my day. You know what I'm saying? And I'll stop in the Starbucks and I'll write something down for like 5 minutes.
Okay.
Real quick. And I'll just leave it on the side. I don't even do nothing with it. And I might be reading something or seeing something on TV or whatever, and thought hit me again, I'll write something down, I just throw it on the side. So I got like 20 or 30 things on the side of just thoughts. And I'll take that one thought and I'll throw it in there and I'll throw a video on there. That's good. You know, Joy, give me like a couple videos I can throw on here just so I can back up what I'm saying here.
We operate in I mean, we've said it before, but like you saying, just write a one thing down here, one thing down here. Like that's constant. Like I've been, thinking about this thing and I want to ask Tim some questions, blah, 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 blah. I'm in the shower. Yeah. Oh, I want to ask that. Yeah. Get out of the shower, write it down. Yeah. Or write even, I've got Spence coming in here and like, that's a guy I'm super excited to talk to for this kind of stuff. Yeah. Like, I'm delivering some pizza last night. Oh, so that'd be cool to hear Spence explain that. Yeah. Write it down like on the phone. And so
everybody's perspective is so dang important, man. It's not just yours. Everybody's perspective is important, man.
For sure.
And for me, I'm just vomiting just ideas, man. It just helps me become more aware. Yeah. This is therapy for me.
Exactly.
All it is therapy. Exactly. It makes me be able to see things more clearly, man. If you're gonna put yourself out there for everybody to see, man, you better show some authenticity, man. You know what I'm saying?
And that's where we're running a problem right now. And, that's the thing I've been real focused on with everything. Is like, I was just doing different podcasts with Nick Crossan this week, and bro, I messed up. I forgot to hit record on the mics to start until about 40 minutes in. Oh no! And instead of we still got the audio from the camera. It's not as good as the mic, but I mean, I'm just like, fuck, But then I think, well, I'm gonna put that in because that was real, the audio won't be as great, but it's a real mistake, and it really happened.
You hit a point, man. I think that's one thing that's beautiful about this next phase is that we don't have to be perfect no more, man.
No.
I mean, when I throw a video or something together, I got rubber pebbles and stuff on my back from the artificial turf, man. I got sweat. I'm grimy. My butt sweating. I got butt sweat on my shorts. We showing all that. Yeah. So you got other folks out, it's like it's got to be perfect, got to be clean, it's got to be highly produced. Nah, man. Show me the grime. Show me the guts. Show me if you're gonna throw up, man. Let me take a picture of that too. Just be authentic, man.
Well, we're at a place now too where we've realized that reality TV ain't real. Yeah. After 10, 15 years of it, and so when it becomes so overproduced like that, like. Majority of the important people that you want to vibe with are going, man, that's not real. That's not real life. That's you got to have the rubber pellets and the butt sweat. You
man.
Need that.
Straight up, man. That's what made. If you look back in the old days, that's why I love the '70s era, because '70s era a lot of times they got a little grimy about things.
Right.
It wasn't all this. I mean, you look at Apocalypse Now as a movie. You look at the first Rocky movie. When the first Rocky movie was just grimy, man. In Philadelphia, the one-bedroom apartment. Yeah. He got nothing to live
for. Hitting the meat.
Hanging out with the mafia, man. And, Mickey taking him out to, punching on some meat. That's how we used to do it back in the day, man. We didn't have any health clubs. We had no, nice gyms and air conditioning and stuff, man. I used to remember, we had a boxing club right across the street from me called the Downtown Boys Club. And that's where we had 3 gold medalists come out of there. In boxing. Wow. It was like way before hoop or anything or saddle basketball was like boxing was the big deal. We had Rudolph, we had Sugar Ray Seals. They were gold medalists. We saw them on TV, and we can go into that gym and watch them work out. And you walk in that gym, you hear people getting punched, you see blood. It stank. It stank up in there, man. It was no air conditioning. It was hot. The coaches was grimy coaches screaming at everybody, cursing. It's like and when you were a kid, you talking about that toxic, you walk in there. I felt that when I walk in there, but it was a different kind of feel. Yeah. It wasn't that feel where you gonna get a beat down or a spanking or nothing. It was that feels like, man, this is like these guys are going to the extreme. To be at that high level of world class level, you have to get in that griminess, man. But if you look at, and now it's similar. If you look at the last, Rocky had another movie that came out, and they were in the
Rocky
gym.
7 now.
Yeah, they were in the gym and stuff, and they were doing medicine ball work. They were doing the stuff that we do. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, the evolution of Rocky's training.
The training was different. They weren't hitting no meat no more. They were in there, hitting regular bags, but they were doing ladder drills and stuff. I'm like, what? You remember that?
Yeah, hell yeah. Well, and actually, that one of the things
doing band work and everything.
I've been real curious to know with you is like how is your training evolutionized or evolved? Sorry, in your time to know it's cool for me to find out it started as concrete weight set, but once you got into the training realm, how have you seen yourself evolve? I mean,
when we started out, it's like bigger, faster, stronger. I mean, how big can we get? How strong can we get? How high can we jump? It was about the numbers. That's kind of what it was like. And you know what? Back in those days, we played a lot of different sports.
Yeah.
It wasn't no specialization. Everybody I knew played at least 4 sports.
Yeah.
Or at least 3 sports. They played baseball. They played basketball. They ran track. They did everything that you could do, because that's what we did. Mm-hmm. And you look at movies like the Bad News Bears. That's how it was back then, man. Kids got together and we just played baseball, man. You know what I'm saying? And we did it on our own.
Yeah.
We didn't even rely on parents for us to play. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, there's a hidden park right down here.
I drive down like 520 by Miramore, and these days I drive by, I don't see not a soul in the damn park. That park's got acres.
I know.
And artificial turf, man. There's nobody in the park. We had pothole parks with potholes in it and hoops with no nets, and the parent, I don't know, adults didn't give a damn. But we had no facilities, man, really.
Yeah.
And we were out there. We had a vacant lot. You ever heard of vacant lots? That was our park, man. Because we couldn't go to the park and play. So we go. There's a vacant lot. Some house got knocked down. That's where we played baseball. We made our little little bases and stuff, and we played baseball. We got a bat, no man, or a wiffle ball. We go to 7-Eleven or some store, get us a wiffle ball and a bat, and we go out there and play. We be there all day, and we do it until we got tired of doing it. That makes any sense?
Yeah. No, that's what.
When we lifted, that's how we didn't know what the hell we was doing. And even we got older now, and we had an era called the bodybuilding era. You remember Muscle Fitness Mag and all
Arnold
Schwarzenegger, Lou Ferrigno, Franco Columbo. It's like how you look, how much muscle can we pump on our bodies.
Yeah,
you weren't no athlete
for sure. Yeah.
You weren't no athlete doing that. And then as you got older, I mean, we didn't. When I was a kid, all the sports we played, you didn't see. We had injuries, but not the level of injuries you see now. Mm-hmm. We didn't see a bunch of ACLs and ankle busts and back problems and shoulder problems, Tommy John surgeries and stuff like that. We didn't see any of that. Yeah. And all of a sudden, you start having, like, this is recent, man. This is like the 2000s. Mm-hmm. We start having, like, club sports.
Yeah.
And all the specialization that kicked in.
And year-round the same thing.
Same thing, repetitive stuff all day long. Yeah, the specialized training that was, some of these folks is geared toward bodybuilders and power lifters and that kind of stuff. They think that's going to equate to be able to move in a multi-plane situation in the real world. My training right now is basically to not get bigger, faster, stronger. My training is more geared to complement what you do on the field or the court. Mm-hmm. So you're healthy, and that being healthy meaning that you're stable, you got good body awareness, proprioception. You know how to use the ground, how to position yourself, how to actually master movement, how to leverage your strength, how to use your strength, how to land, how to decelerate, how to change direction, how to take off. Learn all that stuff that translates. So when you're out in the court or out in the field, that you can move in a way that's going to keep you healthy. Mm-hmm. At the same time, it's going to enhance your performance level. You know what I'm saying? As opposed to just trying to be bigger, faster, stronger, and trying to enhance the performance level and neglect all this stuff, and all of a sudden you blow up out there. Now you can't play for 6 months. Now you can't play for a year. And maybe you don't have to be able to play for the rest of your life because you're so messed up, going and seeing orthopedics and doctors constantly because your knees is just completely kaput.
Yeah.
You know what makes any sense?
Yeah. I mean, is that, and that's getting into it now, is that how the rebar idea even started, or how'd the rebar idea start?
The rebar idea started because I was seeing those injuries. Yeah. I was seeing, this was crazy, because I was seeing guys that could bench like 400, 500 pounds, that can squat like 600 or 700 pounds. Then I saw guys, I would put a weight above their head, they got 25-pound weight above their head, and they can't hold their arm up. You can't hold your arm up?
Yeah.
Like that. This and just a bunch of little things that shut, and I started spending, I started dealing with, I put a lot of mileage on my body.
Yeah.
I was a runner, I was a basketball player, they didn't open gyms up for us, so we should do everything on asphalt.
Okay, yeah, right.
So, you got your cushioning in your joints, they start to degrade, and you start getting inflammation, and you get arthritis. I started dealing with those kind of issues in my hip and my knees, and I started having to go see orthopedic doctors. And then spending time with them, as I'm going in there to see them, I'm talking about what I'm doing for a living, and I'm seeing all these injuries out here these young people are going through. That's not associated with mine, because mine is overuse and years of overuse. And sometimes not even moving correctly and not even training properly either. But for them, it's just straight brunt, just beat down. You know what I'm saying? They're getting overworked.
Yeah.
And we start talking about it and start studying the foundation of human movement. And so you look at a baby. When a baby's born, they you see their arms moving, legs moving, and they're constantly exercising. They're kind of getting their nervous system turned on. They're starting to move, constantly getting the muscles turned on. And so the first phase of strength of a baby's movement is they have to become more stable. So right now they're jelly, but all of a sudden everything starts tightening up and they start getting more stable. And then you'll see the baby have enough stability to turn over. Turn over. That's what you see baby. Once it turns over, it keeps doing it all the time. It's on the stomach, on his back, on the stomach, on his back. All of a sudden you see your baby start to push itself up like a push-up and get into a quadruped position. Then you see your baby start to crawl. It's got enough strength to actually locomote itself through a crawling situation. Then it'll come up to an end table or a chair and it'll grab it, and it got enough strength to have the stability to pick itself up. And then you see the baby fall over, and then it goes right back to the chair and picks itself up again and falls over. It just keeps doing that. Then all of a sudden it stands up and it goes like this. It takes one step and falls over. Then it goes over. I saw my own children do this.
Yeah.
I even got a videotape. My daughter was doing it, my youngest. I videotaped her learn how to walk, just to tape it. I watched her go over there, grab, stand up, walk, and fall down. Sometimes falling on the side of their head. They ain't falling right either. And they just keep doing it. All of a sudden she goes from walking from here to fall. Now she's walking way over here. Now she's walking. You know what I'm saying? That's crazy.
Yeah.
And the thing is, human beings, they start out doing all the right stuff. Because you go to a park,
yeah,
and you see a bunch of kids playing in the park for like an hour or two, and you say, okay, I'll see this kid, John, climb here, walk on balance, climb up this thing here, slide down. They just keep going. Okay, now let me get me another park like this one. I'm gonna make an adult park, and I'm gonna sit and duplicate exactly what that kid is doing in that hour and 2 hours of what they're doing, and you'll find out that we can't do the shit that they do.
For sure, yeah.
That makes any sense?
Yeah.
We cannot do. We'd be conked out in 15 minutes. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They're squatting, they're climbing, they're running, they're sliding down, they're doing all kinds. They're climbing up the slide, they're doing all kinds of crazy stuff for a long time. They got a whole different kind of endurance.
True. Yeah. I mean,
we can't do that.
Yeah.
Does that make any sense?
Yeah. I mean, you could in the McDonald's playpen, man.
Yeah.
I could go forever.
Yeah. But we don't have anything like that, and so as we get older, we lose all that we learned. We lose it all because we don't move anymore.
Right.
We sit in these stupid chairs. In nature, we don't have no chairs in nature. Mm-hmm. When we were cave people, human beings have been around for 200,000 years, man.
Yeah.
Our modern society, agricultural revolution kicked in. I think it was like maybe 10,000 years ago. And we had agriculture. Then we had our modern society we live in right now, about 100, less than 100.
Yeah.
So the amount of time we spend here is this much time that we live in right now. And so all this here, that when you go out in nature, when you lived out in nature, you didn't have no chairs. You sat on a log.
Yeah.
You kneeled on the ground.
Yeah, or like in Asia, man, everybody just squat
down.
And
that's how we did
everyone's
it back then.
sitting like that. Yeah.
But we lose all that, and so we lose the way human bodies work is that too much stress will kill us. Not enough stress will kill us. We need enough stress to keep us alive. Mm-hmm. So if you're not moving and you sit on your ass and you're watching TV all day, you're dying.
Right.
If you overwork and do way too much, you can die from that too.
Yeah.
So you got to it's just enough work. That's what I learned at my age. I learned how to put just enough work to keep me going. I'm not who I was before. Yeah. But I'm still at a high level for where I'm at, at my age. It makes any sense. So
do you feel like you were overworking in the past?
That's why I ended up because you can don't mean you should.
Right. I mean, the story I always tell about you is, we were in that 5:30 group.
Yeah.
We come in.
Yeah.
You were just finishing up with the 4 o'clock group.
Yeah.
Sweaty.
Yeah.
All that.
Yeah.
Eat almond and maybe a strawberry or something. Start right in the workout with us.
Yeah.
And, I mean, all of them, by the end of them, every person who you just worked out is dead.
Yeah.
And then you'd finish our 5:30 group, and then had another 7 o'clock group coming in. And so, I mean, for damn near 6 hours straight,
I could literally work out all day long and go to bed. And so that's not what you're supposed to do, because our joints have a shelf life.
Yeah.
So if you're pounding your joints, I mean, there's all kinds of stuff that came out in research and, from my profession about what you can and can't do. And there was a period of times like plyometrics is okay for you to do all the time.
Really?
I read that research. I said, oh, I'm good. Now I'm going to start knocking this out all the time. Man, I got out there, man, within like maybe a year and a half, my joints is swelling up. My hip is bad, my back. You can't do that 8 hours a day. You can't do it. That's what I read. It said you can't. So don't believe everything you read.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
What's one of the biggest myths you think going on right now? Or
No. I think the biggest myth is people that see things in black and white.
Right.
It's either or. And so now you get people that say, traditional strength training is no good. Bench pressing, squatting, and doing all the the Olympic lifts and stuff like that's no good. And then you got people that say, oh, functional training is the best. Or that's no good. So they go, got functional training like movement training and stuff like that, mobility training. And you got your traditional stuff, and you got everything in between. And everybody's trying to choose sides. It's not really about choosing sides. It's really about trying to find the right place for certain things.
Yeah.
The right frequency, the right, the right effort, the right amount of rest you need between those kind of things. If you get to a place where that's very understood to you, then you can, I've been doing this for a while, so I know where to place certain things. Mm-hmm. And sometimes it's all about efficiency and what's economical to do. At our gym, sometimes I can't rely on certain platforms and benches to be available for us.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
I'm sitting there waiting. These guys over here just hanging out.
Yeah.
Hanging out. Yeah. They're not even working. They're just hanging out near the bench.
Yeah.
And it's like, we need to get on this bench. We need to get on it. We do that when we need to do it. So I got to, for me, a lot of times I got to find the most efficient route to get to our endpoint, to our goals.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And the most productive way to get there. And so I do everything. But there's people that even today, I read it every day. I see it every day. It's like, what do I do for my shoulder? And those are open-ended questions. That's not a closed question. I can show you like 2 or 3 exercises to do it. But hey, if you want to get your shoulder right, it's not about your shoulder sometimes. It's about everything. It's about your back and your hips and your feet and your posture. There's a whole bunch of things that's going to help that shoulder right. Because you're working that shoulder incorrectly. You're doing things that you ain't supposed to do with your shoulder. It's supposed to stay stable. It has some level of flexibility. But I'm moving things. I can't use my shoulder to move things. I got to use my core and my feet and lock my shoulder out and bring my arms in. There's technique to everything. There's a mastery to everything. And so a lot of people don't look at things in black and white, either or what's the best or what's not the best. It's not really about that. You got to just dig in the information and get real deep in it. It's like when you go to school. You go to law school, you finish law school. You go to med school, you finish med school. When you get out, even at the highest level, even the medium level, when you get out of school, those are called minimum standards of competency. You think those are high-level standards of competency? You went and got your master's degree in accounting. Uh-huh. You know what I'm saying? And you start working for an accounting firm. They're not going to throw you in with the biggest clients out there that they're working with. They're going to put you way back here to learn all these processes and all the intricacies that's involved with being someone that's going to work with Microsoft. You know what I'm saying? They're not going to put you out there and throw you. No, you're not ready. You got minimum level of competency to do this job. Now, the guy that's been here for like 25, 30 years, even with the education you got, he'll tell you, they didn't show me anything when I graduated. I don't know anything. I learned everything I learned. 90% I learned is when I got out here and started working. That makes any sense? Right. Yeah. That makes any sense?
Yeah. I mean, experience is the best teacher.
It's the best teacher.
In the long run.
They can't teach you everything at that level. And so you got these trainers out there. They get caught up in this little tunnel vision and they can't see nothing else, man. Now it's according to what you train. Now, if I'm training like, people off the streets, or if I'm training, athletes, it's a different way. I train mainly athletes.
Yeah.
And that's why sometimes I can train a lacrosse player and a football player and a basketball player, because some of the things that they need there's a gray area between what they need. We have a torso, 2 arms, 2 legs, and a cranium.
Right.
Now, a football player, like on the Seahawks, he's got a torso, a head, 2 arms, and a cranium.
Yeah.
Baseball player.
Yeah.
Unless you got some disability, you cut your arm off or something
Yeah.
like that. You get no head or whatever. It's like, it's like that's how it works. I mean, it's like everybody. There's a commonality to everything. But now, if I got a lineman, and say I got 4 linemen, I might have to separate them from you guys. There's some
Right.
things that you have to do, but there's some things I need to do for that lineman that's gonna be weight on the weight room, big time. But I gotta get them to move at the same time. But they ain't just be lifting weights all day long. Because Arnold Schwarzenegger, all the weights he lifted, he wasn't the greatest athlete in the world.
No.
You know?
No. Yeah.
Don't be fooled by the Rambo movies and not Rambo. Don't be
Yeah.
fooled by Terminator.
Terminator,
All those movies
yeah.
you watch, man. Because he had a physique and he trained a certain way to create his physique to still look a certain way. He had great genetics.
Yeah.
But he wasn't somebody you put some pads on and have him play for the 49ers as a running back or something.
Yeah, he
You
would.
know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
he
He
wouldn't.
blasted
He
out
wouldn't
there.
last. Yeah, he wouldn't last at all.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So you got athletes trained like that. You know what I'm saying? You got athletes that work on like groundwork or speed work and they're just on a ladder.
Yeah.
Sometimes I have people working a ladder. So I have a ladder sitting there, they'll do a ladder, and then for the next 20 yards, do the exact same movement out the ladder.
Right.
So I do the ladder, do like the icky shuffle on the ladder, and they get out the ladder, it's like they can't do the icky shuffle no more.
Yeah, they need that mental.
So you're gonna spend all your time on the ladder and you still can't move.
Right.
Because you can move on the ladder.
Right.
Because when I'm on the field, I can't move. There's no ladder on the field. You know, it makes any sense. And then you got people do these like little drills, these little footwork drills. Those things are all important. Don't get me wrong. Don't get rid of the ladder. Don't get rid of the cones, all that stuff. But there's a certain point we got to actually be able to move. But those are good ways to learn the foundation of the movement. That makes any sense?
For sure.
If you learn how to do the foundation. But when you do the foundation, you got to teach the person how to do everything correctly.
Yeah.
Because now you got people that this arm's going this way, and this arm's going this way, and it's supposed to be this leg's going this way, and this arm's going this way. See, your upper body drives your hips drive your feet. Like, it ain't footwork. And somebody said, we're going to do footwork today. It's no footwork. It's upper body hip work, man.
Right.
And then your feet going to do what they're going to do. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, they're just following
When you're
along.
running, you're not worried about where your feet are landing.
No,
When
true.
I'm jumping up in the air and I'm grabbing a football and I have to land, I'm not looking to where the ground is. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
There's a whole bunch of things that people don't understand. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I've been at this for a long time. And so as far as my training style, it's based on the past, the present, and where I can see it going in the future. The future is going to be more understanding that, it's not just about muscle training.
Right.
It's really about fascia. It's about proprioception and balance, or body awareness, technique, all those things we're talking about. And then the rebar, where that comes into play, is just the foundation. We talked about the baby being able to walk and run. It starts out with that foundation.
Yeah.
It's for me to drive that foundation home to a lot of people that think they have it and people that need to have it. So you got major, I've had really super strong people get in a rebar and can't manage themselves with it because they're intrinsically super weak. And those intrinsic areas that are weak, that's what's causing them the injuries.
Yep.
Because they're primary mover dominant. Their big muscles are so strong that all the energy and the tension is going out the weak links within their chain. So the rebar helps get rid of those weak links, so you can actually really leverage those big limbs you can maximize leveraging those big limbs. That's going to keep you healthy and actually improve your mobility and improve your way of leveraging your strength, useful strength, functional strength, and be able to move properly and have good posture and have good positioning. That makes any sense?
For sure.
It's the next level thing.
Yeah.
And it's really about the fascia. Fascia too is, you have muscle. Fascia is a webbing that innervates the entire body. So it separates the muscles, it turns into tendons and ligaments, it goes into your bones, into your joints. And it's where all your nervous system, all your nerves are kind of at, where your body awareness nerves are. So I know where my hand is, I know where my foot is. I can just move my toes, I know where it's at. That's all connected to your fascia. That makes any sense? Mm-hmm. And if you take a muscle and you put it on a plate and you put an electrode on it, it flexes, it just moves. That's all it does. It creates and stores energy. You got sodium and potassium. It creates a contraction. That's a contraction is energy. And where does the energy go? It goes into the fascia. And the fascia actually does the movement in the body. That's connected to your lever system, which is the skeletal system and your tendons and everything that actually move the lever system. So the muscles create this, the energy goes into the fascia, they can fix the joints and actually moves your joints. That's what's moving my hand right now. If I take the fascia out, This is not going to be
You
any
just
movement.
get
This is gonna, you have
a flexion.
like a contraction that you see in a muscle.
Gotcha.
Like you got to like electrolysis. You see your muscles flex.
Yeah.
That's all it is.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But when you actually have the fascia, that's that webbing. So the webbing is like when you got an orange. You know, sometimes you cut a piece of chicken, you see that thin sheet between the muscle, or you have like the webbing in between. Like you got an orange and you got the little webbing.
Yeah.
That's separating all the little juicy, little juice things they call them.
Yeah.
That's imagine what the orange would be like without the webbing.
Right.
It'd be just a bunch of mush.
Yeah.
It'd
Yeah.
be basically a orange peel with juice in it. That makes any sense.
That's I never thought about
so
that, but
the
yeah.
human body is the same way. It's got webbing, but it's not. People think it's a muscle. I'm training muscle. You're not training muscle. You're training movement.
Yeah.
Understand that if you're an athlete, you're training movement, not muscle. What muscle group are we working on? I get that all the time. We're doing some fiber work. We do What muscles am I working? Everything.
Everything. Yep. Exactly. Yeah.
So it's like a receiver. I'm about to run a route. Which muscles am I working? Everything.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know
True.
what this is?
True.
So if you talk about the evolution of my training, it's come from understanding the body and you know, seeing the past, where it's gone, seeing how people hold on to the past, people that see things in black and white, and also it's just from this what I had to go through.
Yeah.
I had the hip replacement, total hip replacement. I'm disabled. You know, it took me 6 months to come out of that.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
How long ago was that?
About 4 years ago.
4 years ago? Yeah.
You know,
Dang.
I couldn't even lay in a bed. I couldn't get past 60 degrees on hip flexion. I was doomed. And so I had rebar for me was out of necessity for me to be able to get healthy. And it's for those athletes that I saw that were so powerful and so strong, but weak as hell. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
They thought they were strong. I mean, you see it a couple times.
Yeah, we've seen it.
Names.
Yeah, we've seen
had
it.
some big guys come in and they
Struggling. How would you? Because we know the rebar so well, but people watching it, like, how do you describe the rebar as the guy who the mad scientist behind it?
Rebar is a portable device, so it detaches and it can attach. You can put it in a bag. It's got an end cap that's rubber that you can slip in some bands, resistant bands. Once you put the rebars together, it's a long bar. It's probably about 6 feet long. You can stick bands in there. They hold it in place. You wrap them around your feet. When you push it up, either from when you push the bar up and you create that tension, it creates what they call tension on your body. So it uses compression. And that compression actually fires up your joints through your entire kinetic chain. And we do poses and we do movements while you have that stability that's firing up. That makes any sense?
For sure, yeah.
Sometimes sometimes you can do the same things when you're lifting weights, but it's not consistent. That makes sense? Certain parts of your body are stabilizing the weight, like I'm doing a squat, and other parts are turned off. Right. When you put on a rebar, everything actually turns on. That makes any sense? Yeah. And it don't have to be a whole lot of resistance, a whole bunch of weight. It's just enough that forces you to stabilize your kinetic chain so you can leverage your limbs. You know, either through a pose or through a movement. And then when you take it off, those muscles actually turn on and you actually get in these, you know, you start moving, like doing lunges or doing like agility drills or doing all those things that you do athletically from a movement standpoint. And you have that stability you have that stability in your body to actually to leverage those limbs, and it's effortlessly. It's effortless. It's no effort, and your body's doing it correctly. It's not overcompensating to do it, because there's certain exercise you do with the rebar you can't cheat.
Exactly. Yeah.
When you work with weight, sometimes, or if you work with your own body, you can cheat your way to certain movements that you think because I can do it, I'm okay. No, you're doing it when I'm squatting. You're not squatting with your hips. You're squatting with your back. So if I squat with my back too much, my hips decide they don't want to work anymore. So now my back is doing something it ain't supposed to do. And so it gets tired sometimes. Now the joints, the lumbar spine, up the cervical, it starts taking the force. Your hips start to tighten up and lock up. They don't want to work anymore. And if your butt and your glutes and stuff ain't firing and all that stuff not working, then you're susceptible to blow your knee and you roll your ankles. You know, it also affects the way you throw a ball or whatever from your shoulders and all that stuff. It goes all the way up the chain. It affects your feet. So everything works together in what he called vivo. Everything works together as a team. Your body works together as a team.
Vivo?
Vivo. Okay. That means alive.
Okay.
Everything's alive and working.
Gotcha.
That makes any sense?
Yeah.
So it's not working where, you know, I'm doing if I put my arm down, I'll give you an example, put my arm down like this and say, hey, flex my bicep as hard as you can, but don't flex no other muscle. That's why people say, what muscle am I working? It's your whole system, your whole body's working. Now flex your bicep. Even if I'm doing a curl, try to flex your bicep. Don't flex anything. And if you flex your bicep as hard as you can, your shoulder, your rhomboids, your chest, your pecs, everything else is gonna start turning on.
Mm-hmm.
You know, your bicep radialis, everything's turning on. Not just your bicep. So I flex as hard as I can. My tricep flex too. So you can't isolate anything. Your brain doesn't recognize individual muscles that we talk about in anatomy class, or we talk about in bodybuilding. Your brain doesn't recognize that. That was uneducated people talking. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
People that didn't go to school, learn about the body, they out there bodybuilding, and they learn muscle groups because they see it in the picture, and then now they think they know the body and how the body. That's not how functional.
And they built it up just so it looks good.
Yeah. And you can build the muscle. That's called a bodybuilder is basically like an endurance runner. They're basically lifting in endurance kind of fashion, and it creates a physiological response. It creates muscle growth. If you eat right, the proper types of food, and it creates muscle growth. But it doesn't create any power. It doesn't allow you to move better or anything like that. And most bodybuilders have been bodybuilding for a long time. I'm taking nothing away from bodybuilders, but most of them have been working out for a long time. They get my age, they really dealing with it.
Right.
I'm talking about like 2 total shoulder replacements, 2 knee replacements, 2 hip replacements. I got a cat out there that's been bodybuilding his whole life. He's got 2 knee replacements. He's got 2 hip replacements. He's got 1 shoulder replacement. And it's that 1 hip replacement went bad. They had to go back in there, and now he's got metal leaking into his body, and now he's sick, really sick, and he lost like 100 pounds. He's down to like 140 pounds.
Wow.
Because of all that roiding, he was roiding too.
True, yeah.
All that stuff he was doing.
That's another aspect of it.
You know what I'm saying? So you get caught up in the aesthetics. So the way I like to train is not to be caught up in aesthetics.
Mm-hmm.
We want to be caught up on how we feel. You know what I'm saying? And you got to train from the inside out. So I'm not worrying about how I look in the mirror.
Yeah.
I'm worried about how I feel and how I move and how I can get around and do things. That makes any sense? Because the look, the aesthetics comes with the territory, but not with the baggage. That makes any sense?
Yeah, that's
I don't have all the baggage with me.
Put, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because a bodybuilder, they get so caught up. It's like their food. They become basically it becomes a mental illness sometimes about how I look.
Yeah.
Constantly.
Yeah.
You know, we're not afraid to get old. We're not afraid to be imperfect. You know, we just want to be the best that we can possibly be, where we're at in this time and space.
Yeah.
That makes any sense?
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. What one thing I've been curious in my decade of friendship is like, what's your go-to meal? Like, what do you like to eat? Because that's one thing we've never really talked about too much.
Yeah.
And, you know, like I said, I've only really seen you eat like an almond and a strawberry.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, and I'm not even looking for a nutrition plan, but just what is Tim Manson, if we're one meal, what's the main?
Yeah, man, when folks are eating, when it comes to eating, we have what they call, I had good teachers in regards to this. You have different body types. We have what they call ectomorph. You remember Gilligan's Island? Remember Gilligan?
Yeah.
In a show, he used to eat massive amount of food, but he weighed about $125.
Right.
And there's people like that.
Yeah.
They're skinny. And most of those supermodels you see on TV, on the magazines, most of them are that way naturally.
Yeah.
They eat as much as they want and they skinny, period. They're ectomorphs.
Yeah.
Ectomorphs have a super high metabolism. They burn calories like, just looking at, they burn calories really easy. Then you have what they call mesomorph. Mesomorphs are kind of in between. Sometimes some of them lean toward the ecto, some of them lean toward the other end. And they're like the natural athletic build type of people. Like, I'm looking at a person like, remember Wally Cleaver on Beaver?
Oh, Leave It to Beaver? Yeah.
He's like, his brother was like, you had Beaver and you had Wally. Wally was like the athletic looking dude, like the middle. He had muscles and stuff, not trying to work out or nothing like that.
Yeah.
Those guys are like the typical athletic type of looking people. You know what I'm saying? Middle ground.
Yeah.
When they get older, they can gain weight and get fat or whatever. And some of them get skinny. You know, they right in the middle. Then you got what they call the endomorphs. Endomorphs are those big joint people, big body lineman type looking people.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Every single of those body types are healthy. That's what we got to get out the way.
Right.
We have the media tell us what looks healthy and what's not healthy. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. When that's not, there's people that I know that were bodybuilders, had the most perfect physique that croaked at 40 years old. You know what I'm saying? They had clogged arteries, they had a stroke or some weird thing, because that's not healthy. They weren't healthy. You can be skinny and be healthy. You can be fat and be healthy. You can be a meso and be healthy. It's about body type.
Right.
And your body type changes as you get older. You get skinny guys who's ectomorphs that get older. fat will reside when this term is like first fat on, last fat off. So when you start getting fat, most men start getting fat in their belly. Mm-hmm. Then it goes up in their chest. Then it goes up in their face. Then the last place it goes is up in their arms and hands, and then their legs. Arms and legs go at the same time. So if you see a man that's got literally fat ankles, he's got major problems. Because that's the last place to get fat. That means the fat here is like overly fat, and he's got fat, clogged arteries, heart, everything. He's gonna die.
Yeah.
So you see a man with fat ankles, he's in trouble. He's gonna have a cardio real bad, or a stroke or something real bad. So most men are that way. So you see like barrel-chested guys, you typical football coaches back in the day, big old skinny legs, they had the shorts on, little skinny legs, big old gut, and big old chest. That's where they start getting fat at. Women get fat around their hips.
Yep.
So it's in their butt, in their hips. Then it goes into their belly, and then it goes up to their arms. And also for men, if you get fat in the face and your ankles, that's a bad deal. Women get fat in their face and their ankles, that's a bad deal. Okay. So for me, I'm an ectomorph. I grew up an ectomorph, so I have a high metabolism.
Yeah.
And I still have a high metabolism, so I can eat massive amount of food and not gain no weight.
Right.
But I have to, exercise helps me a bit. And I'm getting older. As you get older, your metabolism starts to slow down. So if you're an endomorph, your metabolism slows down, that could be very dangerous. Mm-hmm. If you're a mesomorph, metabolism gets hard, you get dangerous. An ectomorph, sometimes some ectos get skinnier, and some of them get fatter. I've seen ectomorphs like me gain 100 pounds.
Really?
Yeah, gain 100 pounds.
Yeah.
Okay, I've been lucky. Okay, so that's the first thing.
You're moving too much to gain 100 pounds.
No, I'm moving too much to gain 100 pounds. So I don't know where I can take it because I have a certain psychological framework that forces me to do that all the time. Okay. That makes any sense?
Yeah.
A lot of times when we exercise and work out, it's not just physical for us. It's mental for us. It's spiritual for us. So we're not doing it for aesthetic reason. We're doing it for other purposes. And so some people have an anti-workout gene. They don't like to work out. You know what I'm saying? My brother's like, they don't like to work out. But he knows he has to do it. So he has to drag him out there. And he gets really serious for a few months, and he cuts it off for a couple months. So he goes back and forth, up and down. So there's people like that. So when we come back to your food question.
Yeah.
So I know I'm an ectomorph. So for me, just like working out and exercise, I feel it's important to have a variety of food. Okay. So I try not to eat the same foods over and over again.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? My go-to foods, it's not to be cliche or nothing like that, fruits and vegetables. Mm-hmm. So, you need what they call fibrous carbs. That's either through breads or through vegetables, fibrous carbs. Those are carbs, those are simple sugars. Yeah. But I also understand that, a scientist can take an apple and understand the composition of that apple and make a peel of that apple. They know exactly what's in there and make a peel that's basically an apple peel. You take the apple peel, your body's only going to absorb, because it doesn't recognize, it's going to absorb like 20% of that peel. Mm. Don't believe in all the supplements that they're talking about, because the body doesn't recognize. The body recognizes and processes and assimilates food that's out here in nature. Yeah. So, we're omnivores. Protein's important, but vegetables are most important for us, and fruits and vegetables, mainly vegetables. When you talk about grains and stuff like that, it's got to be whole grain type stuff. Right. Meat's important. If you're a vegetarian, if you're gonna be a vegetarian, you got to study food like crazy. You got to become like a dietitian, because vegetable protein is incomplete. So if you're not eating the right types of vegetables, you're not getting the right types of protein. And I know yoga people and stuff like that do yoga, and they're vegans. They're all suffering through shoulder problems, back problems, connective tissue problems. They're getting surgeries, same types of surgeries, same onset and same level of surgeries as the people that eat meat that are lifting massive amount of weight doing the wrong things. For sure. They're on the top echelon. They're having the same exact problems because they don't get enough protein, so the integrity of the body is not there to hold up. Protein holds the integrity of the body. It holds everything together. If you're not getting enough, you become weak. Yeah. Everything becomes weak. Your connective parts of your body and everything is weak, and you can end up injured real easy. And when you're doing them real good poses, that's hard on your body. For sure. It's hard on you. That stress and that torque is hard on your body.
I signed up for like 30-day, thing, and I made it a mission to go 30 days in a row. I got to like day 16, 17, and man, I wasn't feeling good.
No.
You know, like the shoulder was bugging me, and I still like it, but after that, like when you said that, I was like, man, it.
No. Yoga's important, but it's got to be a complement to with all the stuff that you're doing. Food is the same way. So, you know, the most important nutrient is this right here, this water.
Water, yep.
Water is 80% water. We're 80% water. The basis of all our chemical reactions in our body is based on water. Water is everything.
Yep.
You know, water is our savior. You know, we can last, you know, we can only live a few days without water. We can live like a whole month without eating hardly. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Water is really important. So that's the number one nutrient. So you ought to be sucking on water all day. If you don't like water, I mean, for me, when I get done working out, I go to the car, I got water sitting there, I guzzle the whole thing.
Okay.
So that's when I can drink water.
Yeah.
I can't just sip on water all day. I got to guzzle it down.
Yeah.
It feels good to me that way. Then you got, you know, stuff that you can put in the water. You got emergency and all kinds of vitamins you can put in it too. You know, you can put flavorings and stuff into it. But water's most important. So, and then vegetables, and then fruit's good. And then protein, I mix my protein up majorly. I eat all the protein because I grew up eating a lot of meat.
Yeah.
I grew up eating Asian food, German food, you know, meat and potatoes, German and soul food, you know.
Right.
So I'm addicted to it. Mm-hmm. And so I got to have I eat my meat, but I try to eat as lean as I can.
Okay.
You know what I mean? But I need the protein because we put a lot of work in physically.
Yeah.
And I need my body to have good integrity. You know what I'm saying? Fish, salmon and all kinds of fish is really important. But if I supplement, I take fish oil.
Okay.
I take cumin.
Yep.
Cumin works just as good as any other anti-inflammatory, but it doesn't have no side effects. So I take ample amount of cumin and I take calcium a little bit. I take vitamin C, quite a bit of vitamin C, and that's it. And just making sure that I got my massage gun and stuff I work on. I do massage work with the rollers and stuff. I do a lot of stretching and mobility work, and that keeps my inflammation at bay. If I don't do any of that stuff, and then cycling. See, people don't understand that the nutrition and your exercise are not two separate things. Nutrition and exercise are two of the same. You can't do one without the other. Go out and work out and see how much, and not eat and see what happens to you.
For sure.
Try to eat and not exercise and see what happens to you. You know what I'm saying? So just you have to do, if you a fitness person, you have to understand that both are family and they got to work together. So however I work out, that's how I eat. If I have a day where I'm taking some breaks, I'm doing like cardio and stuff like that, I eat more carbs. There's days when I'm in the gym doing a lot of strength type stuff, I eat a little bit less carbs and a little bit more protein. That makes any sense?
Yeah.
And there's days where I might take a couple days of breaks, and then my diet's like I'm eating nutrient-dense meals. I try to eat nutrient-dense meals 6 times a day.
Okay. So
I have a breakfast, snack, lunch, snack, dinner, snack. So when you see me working out, I ate before I came in.
Yeah.
Once we get done working, I eat immediately afterwards.
Gotcha.
I got food in the car. I don't eat in the gym. And then I eat dinner before you ain't supposed to eat dinner before you go to sleep, but that's what puts me to sleep. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
And you don't like breakfast, right?
I eat whatever I cook that night before, that's what I eat for in the morning.
Okay.
I don't like breakfast.
Yeah.
And breakfast is breakfast. It's just not breakfast food.
Yeah.
Traditional breakfast food. So whatever I had dinner that night, it might be, I might have had steak and I had, broccoli or asparagus and stuff. That's why I look at my carbos. I have steak, lean steak that I've baked and I got herbs and stuff on it. And I have like a big bushel of asparagus. That's what I eat.
Okay.
I have chopped up in little pieces.
Yep.
I have my chopped up asparagus, and I'm basically hand feed myself when I'm driving. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I put a beach towel on top of me. I put my food on there. I'm distracted. I ain't supposed to be doing it. I'm distracted. I'm driving. I'm trying not to be distracted. But I ain't got no forks, no spoons, no nothing. I sit it here. I'm eating like I'm eating popcorn. Eating my meat. I'm eating my veggies.
And this is on the way to the gym in the morning,
yeah. Sometimes I have like a whole grain bread. I throw in there. I chip in little chunks. And I eat the bread while I'm eating that. And I eat dinner. Basically, eat dinner for breakfast.
Okay.
I eat that same meal the night before.
Gotcha.
Yeah, and it's delicious and it's good. And
Is it cold still or?
No, I stick it in my. I cook it for about a minute.
Okay.
So it's kind of lukewarm.
Yeah.
And I eat it. That's how I eat, man. And I do the same thing for chicken. I have all kinds of veggies. I throw peppers, everything in there. I eat like a caveman.
Okay.
I don't like to use a fork or nothing. I don't want to put my fork, and when I'm driving, I'm sitting there driving. I'm just eating like I'm eating popcorn.
Yeah.
That's how I eat. I chop everything up and I eat it like popcorn.
That's interesting. Yeah, that's just always been like I said on my mind through our years.
Yeah.
Like I never really knew. I just always see it.
People when I'm in the gym, people don't see me drink and they don't see me eat.
Yeah.
You don't see me drink either.
And now that I think about you talking, I don't know if I've ever seen you drink some water.
I drink in the car and I eat in the car.
Yeah.
So I got all my stuff. What I do is I go to Costco, get you some Tupperware, get you a nice little cooler, make your stuff before. You got everything you plan out, and stick that all in the car. You got your water and everything. You stick it in the back seat. I got it in the back seat, and that's my food for the whole day. That's what I eat all day. Damn. I graze basically. I'm grazing all day.
All day, yeah.
Sometimes I don't finish it. Like I don't finish the dinner that night before. I don't finish what I had that morning. I'll eat it after. Eat it for lunch. You know what I'm saying? As long as I'm getting something in. And once in a while I'll go out and I'll go. There's very few places out there that don't break your bank where you can go eat unless you make your own food.
For sure.
Because the food out there that's being presented to us is not good food.
No.
There's no place where you can eat.
No,
Think about it.
Bro,
even if you go to Whole Foods or in them places, you go out there and you get one of those little meals. It costs you damn $30 for that.
Dude, I
Really?
know. Yeah, $25 for a little mac and cheese and a little bit
crap.
of this and still.
You go broke eating out there.
No, my only thing I ever eat outside of eating at home is Chipotle.
Yeah.
I got my little in my mind. I'm hustling them.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's the only reason I can do it because just the money just doesn't equate.
Yeah. Chipotle, they give you a lot too.
Yeah.
But you get tired of eating that crap.
For sure.
So you go to Costco and they got all them Tupperwares. You get $15 like a whole set of Tupperware.
Yeah.
And you use that as a way to store your food. And I make my food. I clip them all in there. And what I'll do is I'll take it out the fridge. I open up the clip, stick it in them put a paper towel on that. I heat it up, click it back on, stick it in the cooler, stick it in, go in the car and I roll.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? If I want a soft drink or something like that, I get that little seltzer. Soft drinks they got now, they got no sugar in it.
Yeah.
It's just water with some seltzer stuff.
Yeah, the LaCroix or
flavor.
I
drink that. Once in a while I drink, and I'll sway off, but I'll sway off and eat some stuff that's unhealthy, but it's like 10% and 20% of the time.
Right. Gotcha.
Not 50, 100, or 80% like most people. It's like 20% of the time I go out. Like yesterday I was at Michael Knight's place at his gym. Mm-hmm. I went over to Dick's Hamburgers, had me 2 Dick's Deluxe, two fry and a shake. Mm-hmm. Not a shake, but a Coca-Cola. But I had my water and everything in the bag. I had all my food in the bag, but hey, you know what? If I'm over here near this place, that's my vice. And I work hard. And if you work hard and you eat clean most of the time, it's okay. I believe you need to stress your system in a way like that.
Yeah, for sure.
Just like you stretch your system in everything else. Now, there's something that occurred to me. This the next level, like the next level of training that we talked about, is the fascia and all that. The next level of nutrition is biomes.
Mm. What do you mean, biomes?
We don't get in our bacteria in our stomach. Which regulates everything in our body. We have bacteria in our stomach that basically communicates with our own DNA in our body. For sure, it works together.
For sure.
You know what I'm saying? And the way our diet, especially the processed food that we have, is it's killing the biomes in our gut, and that's why a lot of people are getting sick. And it's not only just sickness physically, but it's also sickness mentally. Mm-hmm. That makes any sense? Our brains are electrochemical, and if those things get off balance, that you lose your level of homeostasis in your mind, and the way it works, and the way the way it propagates is because of your gut, and your body is your gut, your health is your gut. So that's why vegetables, and when you start eating vegetables, you can't really cook them like you want to. When I cook my vegetables at home, I steam them really quick. As soon as it starts to steam, I get them out. I just want them a little bit soft and crunchy. You know what I'm saying?
But to keep all the nutrients.
But I don't want I don't want my water to be green.
Right.
I want my water to be like water. When I take the vegetables out, I want to look like water.
Right.
Just get hot enough for the steam to come and hit it for like 2 or 3 minutes, kick it out, and I eat it, and it's crunchy, but it's not like raw.
Yeah.
I can eat raw, but if I do eat raw, I like cauliflower and stuff like that. I can eat raw cauliflower.
Yeah.
I can eat certain things I can eat raw. I can eat green beans raw. There's certain things that's too bitter for me. So, but if you're gonna eat raw, got to have it with some protein or some kind of, something to compensate for it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But like I said, if I have a peel that's an apple peel, my body's gonna assimilate 20% of that peel. If I have an apple, my body's gonna assimilate 100% of the apple. So if you have vegetables, most of your minerals and your vitamins are in vegetables. If you take a peel and you want to take your multivitamin, it's not coming close to what's going on in
Not
there.
at all.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Now I'm taking my omega-3s and all this other stuff. It's just more of a backup for me. And for me, I'm trying to control inflammation. So that cumin and that omega-3, that stuff is, the research, there's another research project, a bunch of research just came out just 6 months ago saying that stuff don't work.
Uh-huh. Yeah, well, and then, some people are saying
They
the
said
coconut oil is good for you. Someone will come out say it's bad. It's.
But nutrition it's very. I learned. I had a mentor of mine who was a PhD in exercise science and nutrition, and so I spent time with that person down in Tacoma. They were a professor at University, Pacific Lutheran University, excuse me, and I made a comment saying, back in my 30s, in my 20s, excuse me. I said, I think people that are overweight just lazy, they just eat bad, they don't have discipline. He said, you believe that, right? I said, yeah, I kind of believe that. That was my opinion back in those days. We all changed, right? Mm-hmm. I don't believe that no more. But he said, well, you're an ectomorph. Let's do an experiment. Let's get you to gain 20, 30 pounds. Think you can do that? Easy. Just lift some weights and eat a bunch of food. I can do that. Okay, we're gonna do that. And so he entered me in like a bodybuilding contest. It was like a natural bodybuilding contest. I never did that before. He said, I'm gonna train you, and we're gonna get your nutrition program right, and we're gonna get you to gain that 30 pounds. So I did it. And the way he did it, I had to weigh all my food. I had to write down everything I ate, calculate how much calories I need, how much protein, how much sugar, everything I need. And then I had to train really, really hard. And so after about like a couple months, I gained like 20 pounds, and 80% of it was fat. And he said, okay, now we got to tweak your diet a little bit. So now I got to add a little bit more protein here, less carbs here, change this up, eat this frequency. So he changed it up. And so by the time, my 6 months kicked in, I was like pretty much like 80%, 90% of all the weight that I gained. No, it was not even 90%. It was like over 90%. That weight I gained was 30 pounds of muscle. Whoa. So I was big. And I was like just ripped, totally. But it took me 6 months to figure out how my body worked to respond to food. The first 2 months we thought we knew, we were guessing, and my body responded by producing massive amount of fat. I just started gaining weight fat-wise, even without the work I was putting in. Based on just slightly tweaking compositions and stuff here and there, my body started taking in just straight protein, and it was coinciding with the work I put in. Because you got to work to the level of your eating, and you got to eat to the level of your work. That makes any sense? So those two things work together. It's not about just exercising and neglecting your diet. It's not just having a diet and not exercising. They have to work together as a team. And so once I figured that out, that helped me for me to be able to understand what works for me. Yeah. Now the next person walking in, the same things. We're both very different chemically. Yeah. Every single human being has their own little footprint. So you might have these different programs, and it might work for. Your cookie cutter program might work for the vast majority of people. There's always gonna be outliers that ain't gonna work at all for them. That makes any sense? Or some people it's not gonna work as much as other people. Some people might be perfect for them.
Right.
But that's only a few people that's gonna be perfect for them. So you have to put yourself in a situation like this. There's diet programs out there or nutrition programs out there right now for people that are losing weight that are really geared to doing what I just did, to go in there and really understand how your body responds to food. And how do you respond to food, both physically and psychologically? And then how is your exercise program correlating with your food? Then you get those people, there might be 20, 30% body fat, bringing them down to that place where they're like 10% body fat or below 10%. Or for women ultimately it's got to be around 50%. The skinnier women are at 15%.
Yeah.
Skinnier men around 10%. Because women need a little bit more fat. Because of childbearing and stuff like that, So if a woman gets down to like 5% or 6%, their body starts to change a little bit. Like my wife, she was exercising pretty heavily, and we were trying to have children and stuff. She couldn't get pregnant, and I thought maybe I had like a low sperm count, something was wrong with me.
Right.
But it was the fact that her body fat was so low that she wasn't capable of having a child.
Oh.
She didn't have a period anymore.
Interesting.
There's no period.
Interesting.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So there's no menstrual period. It's just cut off. It's done.
And
it's
her
body fat. As soon as the doctor told her, said, okay, you're gonna have to just go. Don't exercise as much. Eat. Just eat. Well, my wife went from, I'm not saying, she won't like hearing me talking about this, but she gained. She went from like 140 to 200 pounds, and then she got pregnant right off the bat. Boom. She was 200 pounds, man. My wife was 200 pounds.
Interesting.
And gained and was able to get pregnant like that. I thought I was gonna have to go to a fertility place and find out if I had like low sperm count or something wrong with me. But it was the fact that her body fat was like below 10%.
Wow,
and
yeah.
Completely shut her down.
I've never heard that ever before. Yeah, that's
so we need a little fat in our diet. We do, because our fat is a fat that we use for hormone homeostasis, hormone balance. We need that fat for controlling inflammation. Mm-hmm. We need that fat for propagating our electrical impulses in our nervous system. We need that fat for controlling. We just talked about inflammation, but we need fat. It's very necessary to have fat in our diet.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So taking fat out is unhealthy. You know what I'm saying? And in my opinion, taking protein out, like meat protein, is kind of somewhat unhealthy.
Yeah.
Unless if you're gonna be a vegan or vegetarian, you gotta find some professional because our diet, like individuality and people and how we respond to food, it's even more so for vegans and people that are vegetarians. So they have to find a professional to help them with their nutritional program, or else they're gonna end up getting sick, and they're gonna end up falling apart physically if they're like heavy exercisers.
Yeah, no, speaking on fats, that's my main thing I've been, I like to try and, I've always been kind of the skinny guy, but I've been trying to maneuver and figure out what works best for me. And the thing for me is just getting the right fats.
Yeah.
Right fat, we got so much, you look on the back of the box and it's a saturated fat or a total fat, a saturated fat, and then most of the time that's all they say. And then there's something in between, it'll say total fat 10, saturated 3, what's that 7? And that's 7 in between. They're not putting it on the box for a reason. And so that's been one of my main kind of focuses lately with nutrition.
Yeah, I mean, you get the right kind of fat, like what they call them, medium chain triglycerides. That's the fat that you get out of but fat you get from avocados and nuts. Fat that you get from like krill oil and omega-3s and stuff like that.
Animal protein.
That fat
as well,
goes in your bloodstream. It takes out the bad fat. You poop it out. It goes out your system.
Yeah.
So it cleans out your fat. To compound that fat being taken out of your system is through exercise. Does the same thing too. So you can double a way of getting that saturated fat out of your system through exercise and through eating the right types of fat.
Right.
You get the bad fat out of your system. So that's why exercise is really important. That's why exercise and diet, you can't separate the two. You can get the diet that you want and not exercise, and you still end up clogging up your arteries because you're not exercising. You know what I'm saying? Because we have all this process and all this food, except people everybody cheats on a nutrition.
For sure.
And I went to like a party once, and there was a bunch of vegans and vegetarians there. And what I found out due to the conversation, that's all they could talk about. All they talk about was eating and their food and being a vegetarian and look at what I made here, this pickled this and this pickled that, and they couldn't talk about nothing else but the food. And one gal, she started crying. She was crying about her diet, about her struggles with food and everything, about making sure she got the right composition of this vegetable and that, and she started crying. I'm like, okay, I see what's going on. You folks is all like, you got psychological problems from your diet. You're like a bulimic or somebody that's anorexia, but you are stuck on this vegetarian deal. And you think everybody else that's eating meat is something wrong with them.
Yeah.
So you sitting there complaining about meat eaters constantly.
Judging too, even worse.
Judging. You just eat your veggies and shut up.
Yeah.
And everything is cool. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So you get to, I mean, there's actually in the psychological community, they're looking at actually formally defining that mindset as being a psychological disorder.
For sure. And some of the stuff I've been reading lately with that is that over time, that vegan diet, and the big reason I kind of got out, I was doing it for a while, is it eventually like leads to almost not a brain, I don't want to say brain dead, but like just something isn't connecting exactly as it used to be. And when you said like she starts crying about it, or it's the only thing they can talk about, I'm like, yeah, that makes sense. But I know we got to kind of wrap this up and get you out of. I appreciate the time.
I appreciate it, man.
My one question I've kind of been asking guests, and the thing, because I'm always thinking about, and it's a little quick too, is just what's a bad habit you're trying to break, or a bad habit that you've been very proud of breaking in your life? Because I feel like we always talk about kind of some positive stuff, and it's positive in its own way. And so I'm always curious to know the people that I'm talking to, like what's a bad habit or something that's on your mind that you're trying to change.
I mean, for me, for me in my I'm always meditating. I'm always being mindful and being aware. And if I have a bad habit, maybe somebody might bring it up to me, and I know what those things are. It's just part of my personality. I'm an ADHD and all those kind of things, and I have to kind of manage that by being more organized and writing things down and saying things and stuff like that. But at my age, where I'm at right now, I've gone to 7 funerals in 7 weeks just recently. And I've had, this is, when you get this age, you got people that are older than you, and they're falling off, they're dying. Some people are your own age that are dying, because folks around 50, people start having all kinds of health issues, cancers, everything kicks in. And one of my friends passed away a couple of days ago, and I called one of my uncle, who's the same age as me. He's in his mid-50s, he's 54 like me. And I asked him, I said, hey, we had a mutual friend that passed away. I was like, man, I just feel bad because I didn't spend enough time with him like I wanted to. I was caught up, driving and going after all these different goals and these things I'm trying to accomplish. I'm trying to make it. I don't feel like I'm trying to make it, and I just feel bad. And that's something.
Well, man, I feel terrible because I guess it's just part of the process. But I totally messed up at the very end of this interview with Tim, where I had the camera on the wrong setting, so I didn't get any audio from the camera, and for whatever reason, my mics just shut off, and I wasn't aware of it until afterwards. And so that last maybe 10, 15 minutes of our conversation didn't get picked up. I have the visual of it, but I don't have any audio, so that's kind of what the whole point of this is. I feel terrible, man, because Tim, he said a lot of great things, but those last 10, 15 minutes were really, really special. And yeah, but shit, I guess that's just, like I said, part of the learning process. You're going to fuck up. You're going to make a mistake. I contemplated, should I even post it? And it's like, dude, screw it. This is real life, and mistakes happen. And so I've already talked with Tim and apologized. Man, Tim, I'm super sorry, brother, because, I don't ever want to feel like I'm wasting someone's time by doing that. And then I'm sorry to everyone who's tuned in, because you missed a good 15 minutes of some Tim Manson wisdom right there, and just wisdom in general. And so, unfortunately, that's how it goes. This is how this episode's going to have to end. I know without a doubt, me and Tim, once I'm back in the States, we'll get back on it. And this time I'll have the mics and camera dialed in by that point. But for now, this is what we got. Again, I apologize. Mistakes are going to happen, though, especially when you're trying something new. So with that said, hope you guys enjoyed this episode. It was an honor for me to talk and interview, a guy like Tim, who's been such an influential part of my life. And we'll see you on the next episode. I hope. Stick with me. I'll get it better. Don't worry. Alrighty. Hope you'll have a great day. Much love.